So if someone actually does want to test your moves, God forbid you do
Please
offer
don't.
them to come to your studio and meet you.
If someone were to show up at my gym, God forbid, please God don't. If you show up at my gym, I'm not running from it. What'll happen, you'll sign a waiver. It'll probably be an off time because if this is something you truly feel passionate about and you wanted to see where you measure in the world, my wife's gonna get mad at me. I understand this. We'll shut the doors, roll the doors down. It's not going to be filmed because if this is something that you're truly passionate about, it's not to make you famous. You want to see where you measure in time, I'm okay with that. We will do whatever we do and bring a mouth guard because we're not putting gloves on, we're not putting headgear on, and it's whatever caliber you want training. But you're going to sign a waiver and you're not going to get famous.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special episode of Strip Mall Sensei. I am your host, Adam, the Strip Mall Sensei. Recently, I had a very controversial figure on my show, YouTube channel, if you will. You either love him or you hate him. His name is Cliff Odette. Cliff, how are you doing today, sir?
Actually pretty good. This is a weird sensation, but yeah, I'm doing good.
So we just did 2 videos recently together, and a lot of people wanted to know about your history. They wanted to know, who is this guy? What's his fight record? And I said, okay, I can't answer all these questions. Let's just do a podcast. And that's why we're doing this special episode today. So,
Okay.
Cliff Odette, who are you besides the head of MDS North America?
Man, that's a lot to unpack. It's been a really wild ride, to be honest. As I was driving over here, I'm like, what am I actually going to talk about, right? So I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, he's going to ask me questions about my fight record and all this stuff. So let me clear up one thing really quick. We talked about underground fighting, right? So let's talk about that one really right off the bat.
Okay. Yeah, because I do mention you're an underground fighter in all the videos, actually.
So I don't want to call myself an underground fighter because that was a dare. In growing up in the area I grew up in the Inland Empire, right? So your friends would notoriously tell you to trick you into doing stuff. So the first one was, honestly, I bet you won't do it. And I'm like, oh, right, let's see. And so.
And when was this, by the way?
Early 90s, mid 90s.
Like 94, 95.
94, 95. I just graduated high school, had this wrestling background, and I've been fighting with my friends we always fight. So I'll get into a whole bunch of stories about fighting, but let's talk about that first.
Yeah.
So it was just a dare, to be honest. So honestly, there's guys that fight underground, and they truly deserve the recognition for it. What I did was a bet, and then it was kind of cool, so we kind of did it a few times. So I don't call fighting underground 5 times an underground fighter.
Okay.
It was a moment in time where I got paid to punch somebody or get punched.
So maybe I embellished a little bit. I didn't know. So
No,
all I heard was, hey, I used to do.
It sounds cool and I get that, but I don't want to take credit for something that these guys are out massive at all. And you got so many guys that are really good at this stuff that have stayed in this game for a long time. What I did was a blip, man.
Well, where did you do them? Because people ask me about that more than anything.
San Manuel. Okay. So how it went down, right? So back in those days, there was no phones like you talk about, right? So everyone's like, where's the video? Where's the stuff? No one rolled around with VHS, and we just didn't do it. And this was truly at the time illegal. So you got a page, and what you did is you answered the page. They said, okay, there's going to be a fight tonight. You want in. They'd give you the address, and you'd show up, and it's usually on the Indian reservation. It'd usually be parking lot or a field or some place that nobody's really going to go, and they pick the Indian reservations because the Indian reservation has their own police.
Okay.
So we'd go there.
Did they know about your guys' fights, the reservation police? And they were just like, okay, whatever.
Back then, the casinos had just gotten off the ground. They did like bingo and stuff like that. So there wasn't a whole lot of money in the casinos, and it's not like it is now, right? So everyone thinks, oh, but they've always been casinos. No, man. Yeah. They had bingo halls, and so Indian reservations were typically very poor. And San Manuel it was tiny, man. It's San Bernardino, not much going on. It was just starting to grow back then. So there was a lot of money being thrown around. They just got the casino stuff going. Everything was growing. It was getting very popular. So the fights, you'd answer the page, you'd make the call, and then they'd tell you the time, you'd show up, and then it's literally like putting your name in a hat. And they'd be like, okay, Cliff's fighting so-and-so. There's no weight classes. There was no prep. You didn't see any game footage. You're like, I'm fighting that dude. Okay. The only rules were no biting, no eye gouging.
No
I
biting.
could kick, I could stomp, you could do everything. You had to bring your own corner to throw the towel in for you. You had to, and they had to take you to the hospital when it was over. There was no like medic there for you. There was no all the good stuff that you see now.
Yeah.
No, man. And nobody was filming this stuff because everyone's asking, this was illegal. So let's be very clear. This generation, millennials, Gen Zs, it doesn't exist unless you film it.
Yeah.
I'm a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
And my generation it wasn't me. Mm-hmm. We talk about this stuff all the time. Most people hold their tongues. What we were doing was being stupid. And I'm not going to have proof to incriminate myself and my generation. I did a lot of stupid stuff. And I have a lot of great memories. But I'm not going to broadcast it to the world and go, check out how stupid I was.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
But if you talk to, like say, here's the thing. If you talk to groups of people that know me, they'll be like, oh, and they start, because typically the story was, Cliff told me this wild story. And so then they start going around and they're like, you really did that. I'm like, dude, I don't lie. There's no sense in lying because when you lie, you have to kind of keep up with your lies and all this stuff is crazy and you just can't,
it's just easier to tell the truth. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, you did about 5 fights on an Indian reservation and you weren't this big underground fighter. And because a lot of people in the comments are like, yeah, underground fighter means you made it up. And I'm like,
no, like I said, and that's why I wanted to clear the air, right? Did I underground fight? Yes. Was that my career choice? No, it was because of a dare. And then we were like, this is cool and we need beer money. That was truly all it was because you got 500 if you lost. Mm-hmm. 1,500 to 2,500 if you won, depending on the night, and depending on the purses.
Yeah.
So it'd be my buddies and me, and we'd be like 4 or 5 roll deep, and one of us would fight, and we'd have beer money for the weekend. That's what it was about. It wasn't anything more than that. And most of my fights were, honestly, most of my fights were in nightclubs, bars, house parties, street, over stupid stuff. So getting paid to get punched, it's not bad. I mean, I got
moving on up in the world.
Oh, I say on a dare, I got a tongue ring one time just because a buddy bet me I couldn't eat nachos. Bet you can't eat nachos with a new tongue ring. I'm like, let's do it. I did, and I have a lot of chipped teeth because of it. But I did that because it was a dare.
Well, okay, so I don't want to expand the Cliff Odette underground street fighter
myth,
lore even deeper, but I mean, I think I'm curious. Like, tell me about your most brutal fight out of your 5 fights.
Most of them are, again, trying to remember all those stuff. Okay, so a lot of them is I walked out, we start slugging, and you get the adrenaline rush, right? So you're walking out, you're punching. My most brutal, actually my best one, honestly, was the coolest one and it was the quickest one. It was like 17 seconds, something like that. And that's the one that sticks in my mind the most. Walk out, grab the guy's head, headbutt, and it's like the lights turned off. And it was that quick. And I was like, wow. I thought I broke him. And I was like, oh, he fell. Oh, I'm going to work on my language, by the way.
That's fine.
He fell, and that was it. I won. And it was that simple, and it didn't seem like it was real. So headbutt, and it's over. Okay, great. That was good. Most of them trading punches back and forth. I have a lot of broken teeth. I've sput a lot of chunks out of my teeth, chunks on my lip. Yeah, I've been lucky in my fights. I didn't ever have that career-ending fight that sends you to the hospital, that legendary beatdown that puts you in the hospital, that makes you think about your choices. One of my students was in Chicago, and he was jumped. He was put in the hospital for a month and a half in a coma. Over doing stupid stuff, man. So I consider myself very lucky for what I've done. The fights that I got, my best one that you're asking me about, that walking out, grabbing his head, connected with the headbutt, he fell. That was the coolest sensation ever. And I've never beat that high because you're so amped up, ready to go. And at that moment, I wanted to go again because I was so ready to go, and he fell. And then I was left unsatisfied, I guess.
Yeah. Brief interruption. If you'd like to meet Cliff Odette and Fred Mastro, the creator of the Mastro Defense System, go to their seminar on October 5th, 2024 from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. in Worcester, Massachusetts. Yes, New Englanders, that is a very hard word to say. Worcester,
Massachusetts. Additionally, if you use my promo code StripMallSensei, you'll get 20% off. Click the link in the description, enter in the promo code StripMallSensei, and see what MDS is for yourself.
But did you ever worry like that? Because you said like, oh, did I break him? Like, did you ever worry like, oh, maybe I killed this guy? There's gonna be consequences for this, or is it just the '90s were just a different time?
You didn't really. Okay.
It was the 90s.
The only time I worried that I hurt somebody was when I choked out one of my friends, right? So we were down in San Onofre for the weekend, and it was just stupid. It's my buddy John, and I choked him out to the point where he started having seizures and he fell down, and I thought I broke him. So that was just the point, and I didn't realize, and that one really scared me. Yeah. So then I started becoming more aware of what I do. But yeah, that one is the only one. And it was over stupid. It was over beer. We had no beer left. He had a cooler full of beer. He came out of his tent and he's like, what do you want? I was like, we're going to drink your beer. And he's like, no. And I was like, yes. And it ended up in a fight. And I ended up choking, rear naked choke. And I held it too long. And my friends are punching me in the face, telling me to let me go. And his brother said, Cliff, you have to let him go. And I let him go. And he just sat on the ground and he just, yeah, he had a seizure. And it was scary. That one, I was like, oh, that's a bad decision.
Oh, man.
We're good and we're friends. Believe me, I fought with every one of my friends except for Mike Osnes. We call him Spanky.
Okay.
That's the only one in my all my friend groups. I fought with everybody.
Yeah.
Because of personalities.
Right. Right.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But him, no.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's talk about the controversial videos.
Okay, cool. Let's dig in, man.
So, okay, let's start out. First of all, you are the head of MDS, which is Mastro Defense System, created by Fred Mastro.
Yep.
You're the head of North America.
Correct.
He's entrusted you as the representative for North America.
Correct. And it took a long time because there is a guy here in the United States who is also one of my teachers who's actually Fred's right hand, but he's chasing the Leo route, law enforcement. His name is Sebastian Vandenberg. He does movies, he does stuff. He's an absolute beast. So between Fred's style and Seb's style, that's my lineage.
Okay.
And it took a while for Fred to go, okay, Cliff, I trust you enough. Years.
Yeah.
But yes, I am in charge of Mexico, the U.S., and Canada. I oversee their progress and I help them out where I can. And if Fred's not available, I answer their questions and help teach.
Okay. So for the uninitiated, can you explain the fight style of MDS?
This is what everyone always talks about. Okay, so the biggest questions people ask, oh, standalone system. Yes, it's a standalone system, but truly where MDS shines, it's a bolt-on. If you have previous experience in whatever style you do, jiu-jitsu, boxing, pick a style. With MDS, it makes it more aggressive and better. My background when I got to MDS was primarily Krav. This is the journey I've been on for a long time. I started with West Coast Krav Maga, which is worldwide Krav Maga.
Yeah.
Darren Levine. And then I got my first black belt with AIKMA, Danny Hassan under Daniel Carlini. He's the one that certified me and did my black belt test with Chris Cernia.
Okay.
And then USKMA, that's Mark Slane. He's more police-based. Krav Maga, that's where I got my second black belt. And then I've studied with Royal Ghanaian, Reckham. So I was on a Krav journey. This is where it was. But the problem was, Krav is amazing. If you look at old school Krav videos, so violent, everything's just blood and wonderful stuff happening. But when it gets to the United States, over time, because they wanted to appeal to everybody, they started taking all the cool stuff out. So it caused me to search around.
As soon as I got into the strip mall. Hence the name, Strip Mall Sensei.
So I started searching online because I was watching Lior Offenbach and all these great Krav practitioners, but they were brutal. And most of the stuff was coming out of Israel. You had some stuff coming out of Australia. And then you had Idan Ablanik out of South Africa. So you didn't see, European Krav was what I wanted, but it wasn't available. But then I saw my first video for Fred, Mastro Handshake. And he was in, I believe it was Montreal or Quebec with Funker Tactical.
Okay.
I saw that video and I was like, I got to meet that guy.
Yeah. And that was kind of back when he was doing more Salat, right?
That was primarily Salat. So he was doing Salat and BJJ at that point, right? But it was primarily Salat. He was insulting every style out there. He absolutely said Krav Kaka. He said he was look, Fred is an evolving human.
Yeah.
At his first rendition, we'll call it Gen 1. Yeah, Fred said a lot of stuff that you went, what the hell, Fred? And over years of talking to him saying, Fred, you can't say that stuff because everyone that trains, they train for a purpose. And you to say your style is better than another, that's goofy because there's some value in everything. You just have to slow down and look and see what there is. You're not going to find a library of information that's going to work for you, but you might find a nugget here, a nugget there. The less experience you have, the more information you'll find that you find valuable. And there's so many stories that you're missing by just closing your mind and saying, that there's nothing there. But over time, I've watched the evolution of Fred. Okay, Fred started out with Salat and saying Krav was bad and saying all this other stuff. But then I slowly watched him bring BJJ in. I watched him then turn to wrestling because he saw a lot more dynamic and explosive movements. And then I saw boxing coming in and we saw Krav Maga. So we're now seeing all this evolution, this new stuff. So primarily what he's teaching now, a heavy hand on boxing, wrestling. So a lot of the newer stuff for MDS is coming from that side of the field because it's very explosive and it's hard to counter, and it's what's being taught in the streets. It's evolving. But yeah, so my journey with Fred started with the Mastro handshake, right?
Yeah.
I searched him out, and it just so happened one of my friends was bringing him here with Doug Marcaida for a seminar. And I was trying to tell my friends, like, who's Fred? And he's throwing the seminar. Who's this Fred guy you keep talking about? I'm like, Fred Mastro, he's going to change the world. They're like, nah, Doug, it's Doug Marcaida. He's on TV. He does super. And I was like, for me, Doug Marcaida was like me trying to get to the moon.
Right.
I couldn't do it. I didn't know the skill set. I didn't have enough knowledge. But for me to get to Fred was like me traveling across the United States, right? I could learn that. I could understand that. So I could get to that level of brutality. But me getting both my hands to twirl sticks and knives and looking smooth like Doug's an absolute amazing martial artist. Super smooth. I don't know if I'll ever be that smooth. But me punching someone in the face and headbutting someone.
Well, that's what you said in our last video. Actually, you said, there's guys who want to see the movie stuff, the 20 hit combos, and you said, I'm not a Ferrari. I'm an H1 Hummer.
We joke around. I have a buddy in Greece, Harris, right? He's 6'4", built like a spider. Yeah. Super fast, right? Fred, built like a spider, super fast. There's guys you think like my moves, I slowed them down for the stuff. Yeah. I'm pretty quick. They're faster than me. And their hand speed is just boom, 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 boom. And you see a lot when you see a lot of Stick and Kali, their hand speed gets a lot. And JKD, their hand speed and their ability to tap and hit exactly where they want at high speed, it's a very trained response. And it's beautiful to watch. It's very brutal. I'm getting there, but for me, I had an epiphany moment. I wanted to be able to bring this not just to the alphas and the badasses out in the world. I want to bring this to everyone because as I was teaching classes, I found more females and beginners that were gravitating towards MDS because it was a quicker way to get the job done. Yeah. And it was better resolution. So merging it with Krav Maga, it was a natural for me. They marry together perfectly, right? Yeah. But they marry together. It marries together with almost anything. You can put it with boxing. You can put it with. It gets you into that training mode. Yeah, because it is a very like military style of fighting, which learn it quick, and then go out in the field. So yeah, let's talk about that. Nobody's invented anything new. No. For let's call it 1,000+ years. Then maybe they've stuck pieces together and they've modified stuff and it looks pretty cool and they put their name on it. But we've already been punching people for centuries and millennia, and we've been doing the same thing. I called it at one point. I think I had a really cool world. I called it martial arts archaeology. So you start looking and you're like, I have this cool move, and you just have some old guy say, no, we've been doing that for years. We just forgot to do that. We just haven't been doing it forever. And you're like, oh crap, I thought I had something cool. That's what you actually, somebody commented, because a lot of people actually saw the last video on punching and they're like, wow, this looks a lot like
Wing Chun and like, was it South Chinese martial arts and
Yeah, I have no knowledge of that
Yeah.
stuff. But if you look at ambush style fighting and punching,
yeah.
you call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
A punch is a punch, a kick is a kick. And a
Right.
good functional punch, you can call it whatever in English, Spanish. It's the same.
Yeah.
So to say that someone is in, maybe they've made it more dynamic. And I know in jiu-jitsu, they've had a lot of evolution. In wrestling, they've had a lot of evolution because they made moves more dynamic.
Yeah.
So they put moves together to make it more, it wasn't such a rudimentary skill. But all they did was string together moves that were already in existence.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I commented back. I'm like, yeah, Cliff was talking to me on the phone and he said, there's nothing new under the sun. We are just archaeologists. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. Because you do have millennia's worth of wars.
And we've forgotten.
Yeah.
And people have been killing each other and punching each other and stabbing each other for
A long time. It's kind of the story of humanity.
pretty much, So for us to say, I've invented this, and a lot of people want to say that, right? They just put a different name on it. And it was rang true for me when I got so excited about MDS. I came back to my instructor, Daniel Carlini. I'm like, check this out. Showed him a movie. He goes, wait. And he finished my move.
Yeah.
And he said, Krav Maga. He goes, we did that 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I went, I was so deflated. I was like, oh, man. But it's the reality is we find when our society becomes not so violent, we let go of the violent stuff.
Yeah.
So that you have the good times create soft people create hard times create hard people create good times.
Yeah.
We have that cycle, right? Well, guess where we're at,
Exactly. I think they call it the fourth turning. And we're right at that every 80 years.
We're at that crazy time. So
Yeah.
you're seeing a lot of the resurgence of quick violent moves, bare knuckle fighting, things like that. That's why
Yeah.
King of the Streets, everyone's like, oh, tell him to go King of the Streets. Well, we did King of the Streets without cameras.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a belt for it. I just got to punch people and break my teeth.
Right. Well, that's interesting you mentioned that because like I remember I saw probably last year or maybe even before that I saw the Russian bare knuckle boxing
Oh, man,
videos online.
amazing.
Yeah, and now what's his name? Conor McGregor, doesn't he have he's doing the bare knuckle thing now. Like he started his own,
So many guys. I mean,
but it's coming back.
it's a resurgence.
Yeah.
We saw it where we were like super violent, and then because society said, well, let's not do that because we don't like so much violence. We like violence. We just don't like it in our face all the time.
Yeah.
But we're at that point right now where people want to see bare knuckle. And in my classes, I tell people when they walk in, look, man, I'm not going to put you in hand ramps. I'm not going to put you in things because when you walk out in the street and I'm selling you this product that's saying you can defend yourself, but if you can't defend yourself bare knuckle,
yeah.
what good are you? If you can't
Right.
do a shin kick to somebody and you can't at least do 3 or 4 shin kicks without crushing yourself, what good are you?
Well, yeah. Someone also commented like wearing shoes on the mat is crazy, and to me it's like second nature because for the people at home, I don't have an athletic bone in my body. I just one day some guy tried to size me up and wanted to fight, and I'm like, you know what? I'm at the time 35 years old. I need to know how to defend myself. So I knew that Krav Maga had this crazy reputation, and so I started taking Krav Maga. I'm a green belt now, but like day one, it's shoes on the mat because it's like we're training for street.
Your instructor came from West Coast Krav Maga. She's an amazing instructor, and her lineage.
Shout out to Erica.
Her lineage is great, right? But we all learn from the same place, and which was. I did come from an athletic background, and I know she did as well, where the mat was a mystical area.
Yeah.
This was a sacred space that you. So I tell my people, you bow onto the mat, you bow off the mat, you respect the people you're training with.
Yeah.
But the mat's there so that you don't hurt yourself when I throw you to the ground.
Yeah.
But for me, I had wrestling shoes and I had mat shoes and stuff like that. But most people, when they fight, they don't kick their shoes off. So if you're not used to kicking in tennis shoes and you're not used to doing a front kick or a side kick or any of those kicks, it's different texture, different feel, different everything. So for me, the mat space is a mat space to make sure people are protected.
Yeah.
But that's all it is for me.
Well, it's interesting too. It sort of rewired the way I think. Like I used to enjoy wearing Crocs, and now I do not feel comfortable going out in public in Crocs because it's like I can't kick
Put them in
someone.
sport mode, man.
Yeah, put them in sport mode. Yeah, but like I actually started looking at boots. Like I want to get a nice pair of. But I work an office job, so like
That's the evolution. So you're gonna go through. There's times where people go like, if you've never carried a knife, all of a sudden you start training self-defense classes. Then now you're carrying a knife, and now you're carrying 2 knives, and now I've got my steel-toe boots on, and now I have my tactical belt on.
Yeah, my knife belt.
Right. We go through the evolution, and that's okay because you're now looking at a different world. You're learning a new language. Right? Yeah. Just like anything in life. And that's okay to geek out on it for a while.
Yeah.
But realize it's a pendulum swing, and you're going to find your middle, and you're going to say, okay, this is where I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did the same thing. Now I don't carry a knife at all. I really don't want, because I don't want the temptation because of my skill set.
Yeah.
I don't want that preconceived notion.
Yeah, and also the jury.
That's because of what I do, and I'm now because you made me a figurehead, and I never wanted to be. I wanted to be invisible, but because of that,
I'm not gonna lie though, you are a walking weapon. Like we were walking out in the dark parking lot the other day. I'm like, I got Cliff with me. Everything's cool. Like,
I say it's been what I've realized is over all these years of training and fighting, right? There's so much to learn.
Yeah.
Always be a student. Never close yourself off to the fact that you don't know enough, because what you learn is the more you learn that a random thing can happen. You could be falling and your hand loops out and you catch me on the chin and I get knocked out. That's why it's called a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
To say that when those guys walk into the ring and you have George St. Pierre and these guys, these legends, BJ Penn, all these badasses in the world fighting in the ring, they've trained for that one moment.
Right.
In the street, everyone's like, oh, square up. And that's what a lot of your comments say. Oh, I want to see him square up and spar.
Yeah.
Honestly, if we go in there and you have a preconceived notion that we're fighting, it's not a street event. A street event is I look to the side, I give my friend a side eye, and then I clock you. And it's not fair. And I know it's not fair, but I want to win. Right. I want to go home. I'm not fighting for fun. Well, in the past I did, but I never fought anybody who didn't want to fight.
Right.
So all my fights, someone came up to me, blah, 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 around your mouth. Okay, cool. So we would go out and we had that fighter's code. Like I would only go as hard as you. That's where I'm seeing the guys. I would never bite because I'll bite you, or I would never do that because then the other guy, you're letting me do that because they had that fighter's code, right? They're missing that piece because that's a sport fighting code. I will go as hard as you go. And I understand it because I did it.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to fight.
Right.
And if you're going to make me fight and I'm going to try and talk my way out of it, I am going to go home.
Yeah.
If I have to cry, I don't care what it takes.
Yeah.
I'm going to get as close as possible to you as you're going to let me, and I'm going to do extreme amount of damage in a very short period of time, and I'm going to go home.
Well, and I have no business fighting, but I remember like the first 3 weeks of Krav Maga training I took, for a minute I was walking around like, man, I wish someone would, like I felt real
We
tough.
all do that.
Yeah, but then, after that, I realized like, oh God, like, once you have your first real sparring match, like I don't want to be in a fight anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
I went through a few months of Krav training and I went to New Hampshire to see my brother, and there was a guy who wanted to start a fight, and I knew what I could do to maybe handle it, but like I did everything in my power to become his friend and just take it down a notch because it's just not worth it. You know what I mean?
I say, and my moment, so your moment, you did the right thing, right?
Yeah.
So my moment, going through Krav, I'm about 6 months in, excited. I'm on the 60 freeway, 91 to the 215 60 right there.
Yeah.
Third lane, that exit. Some guy cuts me off, so I give him the California hello, which is a middle finger.
Not YouTube friendly.
Not YouTube friendly. So I walk, so he stops right there at the light, and he's honking, and he's giving me the bird, and he's yelling at me, and he's doing all this stuff. So me and I'm taking Krav, and I got this.
Yeah.
I step out and go, we doing this? And then he's blah, 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 keeps running his mouth, and I'm like, I put my car in park, I shut my door, I walk up to his window. Are we doing this?
Yeah.
He screamed out, F you, with the N-word, which caused me to pause, and I was like, I looked at my skin. Then he pulls out a knife, but then he pulls out a knife, and he's still in his car, mind you. He's still in his car, window rolled down. He pulls out a fixed blade. It's about a 4-inch blade with a handle, but he's cross-body, and he's still in his seatbelt. So then I pull out my knife, I flip it out, and I'm like, I got his neck, I got his head, and I start going through the thing, but then I look over, and I see 4 or 5 people with cameras, and I went, oh.
Not
this
today.
looks so bad.
Not today.
So then what I heard in my head is use common sense before self-defense. And you know that saying because that's
for
what
anyone who doesn't know, that's the black belt creed we say every time at the end of class. Use common sense before self-defense. And
so I heard that in my head. I told him, we're not going to be doing anything. Just go.
Yeah.
He kept running his mouth, but then he finally decided to slam on the gas as the light turns red and he nearly gets T-boned. So I get cringy about that. I'm like, oh, crap. They saw me with the blade. He's going to get T-boned. They're going to think it's my fault.
wait, he did get T-boned?
No. He came like really, really close to getting T-boned. So he skids off. The car slams on the brakes, and he just goes. And I was like, oh. So that day, I go into well, first I apologized to my wife. Then I apologized to my kid. Then I apologized to my instructors. Oh, yeah, I went down the line, man. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I did this. It was stupid. But since then, I changed. I didn't want that fight. I didn't want to go, oh, I want to see where I'm, because I remembered the old me. The old me, we're going to fight, and this is going to be great, and we're going to have the adrenaline, and we're going to go get a beer. It's going to be awesome.
It's not like that anymore.
It's not like that anymore.
The 90s are long gone.
I'm way too old.
So for the folks who've made it this far in the video, I greatly appreciate you. If you'd like to financially support the channel, there's a link down in the description called Buy Me a Coffee. Just click the link. It's a one-time donation of a low amount, and it just helps the channel. If you don't have the means, I totally understand, but you still want to support the channel, feel free to share it with your friends. That actually helps out immensely. Well, let's go into some of the tough questions now.
Okay.
I made a list.
Oh, great.
Well, I made a list because for the folks at home who have left comments and they had concerns, and I just figured we'd explore these.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that. You told me that I'm not allowed to find them, that I have to be PC, that I've got to do all this stuff. So when I grew up, someone runs their mouth, I get to go knock on their door.
Well, okay, before we go into that, my life really turned around. I used to be like a alcoholic, a total jerk. I don't drink anymore, but what changed my life was how to win friends and influence people.
Okay.
And I just found it to be an effective way to communicate with people. So I do not want to engage in any sort of e-drama in the comment section or anything like that. It's just not worth my time. There's always people out there who are smarter than me, who think they're smarter than me, whatever the case. But it was
a good way, but like I say, I've got to tell you, it was an eye opener because I'm used to if somebody challenges me, I could knock on the door and say, hey, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
In person, because the computer, it's very impersonal. You don't get to see eye to eye. You don't get to read the body language. You don't get to do any of that stuff. So all I really wanted to do was just knock and say hi.
Well, it's my instinct because you look like you and I look like me, and I do not have that effect on people. So I'd rather win influence and win their friendship.
All right, let's go into your questions.
Okay, so let's go into these questions here. So, so a lot of viewers are skeptical about the effectiveness of dirty fighting techniques like biting and gouging, especially against trained opponents. So can you explain why you believe these techniques are a valid real-world self-defense?
All right, cool. Let's cover that.
Yeah.
So MDS, Fred. I can tell you stories from Fred, from Seb, from all these guys. None of these moves, we didn't just pick them out of the hat and go, oh, that looks cool. Every one of these moves, if you talk to Fred or you talk to Seb or you talk to the original team that built these, what they had as an idea, they said, okay, let's find out what really, because Fred was a bouncer and Seb worked in France on the subways. Mm-hmm. He was a police. So they're in some of the toughest areas. And I was joking around with Seb. I'm like, how did you guys test these moves? He goes, well, we had a notebook. We would train. Then I would go back to France. Fred would be at the clubs. And then we write notes and we debrief afterwards. So we would try these moves and we would try these things. And we'd sometimes, you're picking your teeth up and it didn't work. And you're like, no, that was a terrible idea. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But most of the stuff you're seeing it's off an initial response. Everyone that's answering these questions, you saw the move. So you're like, I would know how to counter that.
Right.
Because you saw it coming.
Yeah.
You're not going to see me cover your hand. We're going off of initial triggers and responses. You're going off my playbook because you've seen my playbook. But that's not my whole playbook. I'm using a moment in time to use a flaw that you have in your coding to take advantage of a situation.
You guys call it the OODA loop, right?
Actually, that comes from the military. It's
Okay.
OODA loop fight response. So it means that you develop the shortest way to explain OODA loop. You develop a plan. I'm going to punch you in the face, and it's going to be I'm going to give you a left, right, and I'm going to charge in, and I'm going to step on your toe.
Yeah.
And I have that in my head, and I have that, and I'm going to go. And until something hits me in the head or changes my decision, that's my decision. But if you pop me real quick, all of a sudden I go, crap, that hurt. Oh, what was I supposed to do? And it's for fighter pilots. It comes from the military. So it's a fight or flight response. You develop a plan. Nobody goes in going, well, I wonder what's going to happen. I start swinging. Time slows down. If anyone's ever been in a fight, time slows down. It's like when you get in a car wreck. People say in traumatic situations, time all of a sudden shrinks. And you're like, shoo.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm a Jedi. And you can do all kinds of cool stuff. But you have great ideas, but you're like, why is my arm not moving? I want to punch him. And your brain's going so fast.
Yeah.
And only through training does everything else work like that. Most of the time without training, you can't get into that Zen state, that moment, because you don't know how to train and use the adrenaline. But once you learn how to control adrenaline, you remember to breathe. You're like, oh, here's his hand. And you now become Matrix. And you see the punch, and boom, and bang, you miss. And that's why. But so these techniques, these are all pressure tested. We pressure test them with boxers. We pressure test them with jiu-jitsu. We pressure test them with Krav people. We pressure test them all the time. And they're pressure tested also in clubs, in nightclubs, for bodyguarding. With hooligans. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but we work with hooligans. And we let hooligans, and we debrief hooligans. I'm not going to say which groups we work with, but yes, we do have these moments where people are saying, oh, this doesn't work. And these are, if you've ever seen hooligan fights, these guys fight on the weekend just for the hell of it.
They're like Cliff in the 90s.
Pretty much. But they do it now, and you have different levels of hooligans too. You'll have ultras.
Yeah.
Ultras are like so in Poland we work with those guys, in Belgium and in Germany. So Fred works a lot with the hooligans, but he wants them to be more of the cop-friendly hooligans, right? So there are hooligans out there that they fight cops.
Yeah.
The ones we work with support cops, support military, support that stuff, because you have a soccer club, then you have a hooligan club that supports the soccer club, and sometimes the soccer club is crappy and the hooligans are amazing because that's what they do. There's a great movie, Green Street Hooligans.
Yeah.
Go watch that one. It's pretty cool.
Was that Elijah Wood?
Elijah Wood, yes. But it's a good understanding of what hooligans do. These guys are Cliff in the 90s. They just like to fight.
Yeah.
And it was such an eye-opening and fun moment when Fred's like, okay, we're gonna shut the door. We're gonna train with these guys, and he whispers to me, these are hooligans. And I was like, okay, cool. And at one moment we're doing jiu-jitsu, and then we start punching, and they don't know how to turn it off. I watched Fred get slammed into a wall with two guys fighting him, and boom, boom, boom. He's got a bloody lip, and he keeps going. And
Fred's a monster.
And which is very deceiving, right? You look at Fred, and I love Fred, right? But Fred will sit there and put a cigarette out with a cigarette, smoke the entire time. He loves food. And you look at him, you're like, there's no way that guy's a killer. There's no way. I could take him. This is going to be so good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're like, that was fast.
Yeah.
And he hits you, and you're like, holy crap, that was fast.
Right.
So,
well, I think the audience was, there's sort of a lot of comments I saw where, hey, you can't, if you gouge someone's eyes, you are escalating and things are going to get real bad for you. That's what they're saying.
no, 100%.
And what's your take on that, I guess?
Okay, so yes, if you agree to a fight and you poke someone's eyes, and they're a good fighter, yeah, they'll respond. I have been in street fight after street fight after street fight, and I've varying degrees of fighters. But remember, this is a situation where you're being attacked.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you do everything possible to get away? Why is there a set of rules?
Right.
If I'm being attacked or my family's being attacked, if you break into my house, you're not leaving my house. I'm sorry. You forfeit that right. I give you back that right if I decide to be benevolent and let you leave. But at that point, when you break into my house, there's no rules. So why in the street, if someone's going to take something from you You don't know if they have a knife. You don't know what they have. So if I simply take your eyes out of the picture and I gouge your eyes real quick, which means it's going to take you a minimum of 5 seconds to clear your eyes, maximum, oh crap, you did a bad thing and you popped them.
Yeah.
That's terrible, and I appreciate that, and you should have enough knowledge to know whether it's going to be something that you need to absolutely go for broke.
Yeah.
But here's a disgusting thing, right? So once you pop the eyeballs, it's a hollow socket. There's not a lot of nerve endings in the back, so you're better off just actually pushing on the eyes. Creates a lot of pain, and then you have a fuzzy view. Here's a funny story. So we're at dinner with Fred.
Okay, we're talking about eye gouging.
No.
Here's a funny story.
So we're at dinner with Fred, right? And we're in a nice restaurant, like a really nice restaurant in Charleroi.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, Cliff, watch this." And so he calls one of the guys over, and he goes, "You can cause someone to pass out by pushing on their eyes." I was like, "No, you can't." And I knew it was going to happen because I've been with Fred long enough. So he's like, "Hey, DDA, come here." We didn't tell DDA what was going to happen. He goes, "Hold still." And he takes index finger and second finger and pushes on either side and puts his head behind their head and just pushes on their eyeballs. And within 5 seconds, DDA falls. Lights go out. And we're like, oh.
This is just Thursday for Fred too, right?
We're in a restaurant that's full of people, right? So this guy passes out. And then I already had a few drinks in me. And I was like, he's faking it. Fred goes, "No, he's not." I was like, "He's faking it, Fred." So Fred goes, "I'm going to do it again." I'm like, "DDA, you were faking it." So Fred does it again. And this time DDA go out for like 30 seconds and we're rubbing his back, trying to get him back. And he's like, "What happened?" And we're like, "Oh." But these are the moments with Fred that you're like, he's a giant kid because he finds all this stuff happening. I've watched Fred give someone a laceration with a chocolate bar, Hershey's chocolate bar.
Wrapper on or off?
Wrapper was on.
Okay.
But it was funny because they're like, "There's no way." And he goes, boom. And we're like, he was so happy because he's like, "I'm being hit by Fred."
Yeah.
He's on the kitchen counter, all splayed out. And he's going through the drills. And Fred hits him with the chocolate bar. And we're like, "You're bleeding, dude." He's like, no, I'm cool. And he's wiping it off. And there's just blood. And we're like, okay, it's time to stop. And it's just these moments where we practice these things all the time. And people get mad. And a lot of your comments are like, "Oh, Fred just hit you guys." These are for the footage, right? You see Fred hit us, yes, because it's sensational. It's great. And this is a video and it looks really cool. And you guys get mad. And, oh my God, Fred's just beating him up. Well, there's times we get to hit Fred too. So we get paybacks.
Yeah.
Right? So everyone that's an instructor, their students, yes, you do strike your students because you want them to have a realism of it, but it's not a full force. You're trying to give them, to let them know it works. But then, in respect, your students go hit you, and you have to go, "No, that's not it. No, that's not it. No. Oh, well, okay. Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it." So that you know the feel and where you're at that raggedy edge of being knocked out so that you can properly teach this. And it's not theory, right? I can show you techniques, and we've got a lot more time together where you don't think it's real. I can knock you out because you hit the back of the head at an angle, and I hit you in the chin, and I spin your head this way, and your head goes at an angle, and it looks so simple. And you would think someone's faking it, but it's serious brainstem trauma. It's like huge car accident level trauma. And I thought it was a joke. And no, it's absolutely, it's real. And there's so many of these strikes that we don't talk about because the military does them, but they don't talk about them. And you kind of like, through martial arts archaeology, find these things on accident and be like, "This is so cool." And then someone comes up to you and goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, we teach that in the military. You probably don't want to do that."
Right.
I had one of those moments.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you were telling me about that. Before we get into that though, we should mention, because we're talking about Fred, if you guys want to take a seminar with Fred and Cliff, it's in, and forgive me, I misspelled it and mispronounced it last time. It's near Boston. It's in Worcester.
No, Worcester.
Worcester? I don't
Worcester.
know. My brother is in New Hampshire, so he's got the Southie accent thing going on.
Yeah.
But it's in Worcester.
Worcester.
It's in the description. It's on October 5th from 3 to 6. You get to meet, obviously, Cliff here, and then you get to see some of Fred's magic. So I just wanted to plug that. It's in the description.
Fun. Honestly, what drew me to MDS most yes, the striking, but the camaraderie and the family that we build there. So seminars, it's not the typical, I'm gonna say, measuring seminar.
Sure.
Where everyone's like, we're joking around, you're having fun, they're asking questions. It's more of and I know it sounds odd, but it's more of like a family and a tribe and a pack, because we're joking around. We don't get to see each other. And then we have these events where you'll have 20 instructors show up from all over the world to come hang out. And we're just giant kids. So we're training and having a good time, and there's new people there. And we go out to dinner afterwards, and so we're all hanging out together. It's a great moment. I mean, again, to meet Fred in those moments, he's showing off and he's having a good time, and you're like, wow, that was so cool.
Yeah.
And that's when you hear the crazy stories.
Right. So anyway, with that out of the way, you did tell me about a move. I think it was the first video. You're like, there's this little move, and you just go at the right. I'm not even going to show it, but like if you do it at the right, pull at the right angle.
It was simple. We do that move a lot, and I'll just do it. I'll be as vague as I possibly can.
Yeah.
So it's a simple move that all you do is change your body position slightly, and instead of just pulling one direction, you pull up like you're starting a chainsaw. And it'll end up, the worst case scenario is you get a person in the hospital quadriplegic. Yeah. The best result is they die. And one of my friends who teaches tier team members, he's like, and he talked to me, and his name's Maury. He's like, hey, probably don't want to teach that one, because that's called Sentry Dispatch.
Yeah.
And it's very successful, but do you want civilians to know that? So it took me a day or two, and so all my team had this video for a day or two, and they're like, yes. And so then it was like a whole, Cliff took the video down, I'll put it back up, and I had to like scold everybody, like, dude, guys, we can't. There's moments in which we should have a conscience, and we should not teach things, because in the wrong hands, and again, some 14-year-old kid, boom, 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 pops a neck, and now that he kills somebody because I taught him that move.
That's what I worry about too.
And that's where I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I don't have a body count. I know a lot of my friends that are within MDS. They're military, they're police, they're EP. They truly are the guys that are legends, and they have official body counts because they put themselves in bad spots. I don't.
Right.
I don't want that on my soul.
Right. Well, and I remember I'm like, can I put that in the video? And you're like, no. And I'm like, you told me why. I'm like, okay. Well, let's do another question here.
Fire away.
Okay. Sorry if this is. I like to think I'm more professional than this, but I got a bad memory, so I just have to write this down. Some commenters argue that traditional martial arts like boxing, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu are fundamental for self-defense. How do you integrate traditional martial arts into your MDS training, and where do dirty fighting techniques fit in? I mean, I think you've kind of already answered that.
We did, because it is boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You're going to find pieces of everything that works. Anything that works is there.
Yeah.
Now, the dirty side of it is, do you give someone quarter, right?
Yeah.
If you're surprising them and punching them first, that's where I saw some of your comments. I wouldn't wait for them to punch. I would just go. Or I saw a lot of the comments. It encompasses all. Yeah. Right. And the goal when you're doing this stuff is to create a response where the brain is chasing that response so that you can stay ahead of them. If you only just punch in the face, they're going to get used to that pattern, and they're going to adapt and overcome. Yeah. So if you left stimulus, right stimulus, high, low, if you change it up, then they have a harder time keeping up with the stimulus, and eventually you'll run their battery out.
Right. Well, and I think that an interesting thing you told me was going back to Fred, and I don't know if Fred wants to talk about this, but you had mentioned that he poo-pooed a lot of like BJJ a lot.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until he got his...
Oh, the Malik fight. You guys, you're talking about the Malik fight.
The Malik fight, yeah.
This is the one that but Fred lost an MMA match.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's give a little background on this one, right? So Fred and I are sitting there, and Fred talks about it because, again, this was one of his epiphany moments, and he changed, right? So he was real young. That fight took place because Fred plays in the gray area sometimes, and Malik also plays in the gray area sometimes, but Malik outweighed him by like 100 pounds, okay? So it came down to, I'm not going to go into that part of the story, but it came down to they agreed to a match, right? So the first match was supposed to be Vale-Tudo, which Vale-Tudo means you can kick them when they're on the ground, and there's a lot less rules. So Fred's getting excited because he's for Vale-Tudo. The problem is Belgium caught wind of this, the country of Belgium, and said, oh, no. We have to have an MMA match. No kicking on the ground. No, that's too dangerous. Fred had no experience. At the time when he agreed to Vale-Tudo, he's like, I can kick him, because he'd trained with a couple of guys, but he had no jiu-jitsu experience at that point. He was silat and street fighting is all he had.
Yeah.
So Malik, severely outweighing him, had BJJ.
Oh, like by a lot, right?
By like 100 pounds. Like Malik was close to 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Fred's like 180.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's at that level and with that much training, it's terrible. I mean, I have a friend, Chase, who's 140, 150 pounds, and he fights. He does smokers. He's a tough guy.
Yeah.
But I outweigh him by 100 pounds. I legitimately, he had an arm bar. I picked him up, and I said, are we doing this? And he said, I guess we are. And then I dropped him on his head. Boom! He was like, ugh. And that's the level of power between the two.
Yeah.
So Fred and Malik go 5 rounds. Fred has no BJJ experience. Fred's getting his butt handed to him left and right. But Fred got up every round, went back in, and kept getting his butt handed to him. I'm using proper. I'm using good language, right?
Yeah.
This is good. So Fred's getting back up, and he's like that. Fuck, you want to throw the towel in, because he's legitimately realized he has a shortcoming in his game. Jiu-jitsu was kicking his butt. So once he finished that match, he found the best jiu-jitsu instructor he could, and he started training. And that started his journey in BJJ. That's why I laugh all the time when people are like, oh, this is not BJJ based. It is. He spent the last decade plus mastering BJJ.
Yeah, you said he's black belt. How many degrees?
He holds 2.
Okay, 2.
He's a second stripe with Hickson Gracie.
Yeah.
And he's a second stripe with Flavio Barang.
Okay.
So, and you guys can check his credentials.
Okay.
So he's legitimately.
Can I see his competition record?
You've seen his competition record. It was the one fight with Malik. Fred is an amazing bouncer. Fred is an amazing bodyguard. Fred is an amazing person like that. But it's not sport fight. But people that know Fred, he has a lot of sport fighters that have trained with him. A lot of them. I can tell you quite a few. One's a really good high level one in Canada.
Right.
One's a high level one in Brazil.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's important to note, because a lot of people were sort of viewing this from the outside, and it's important to note that this system, it's a newer system, but it is informed by competition fighting.
Oh yeah.
People kind of looked at it like, I don't want to badmouth him, but you know that Detroit urban survival guy, like people.
Yes.
People kind of looked at, and whether or not that guy's actually serious, I don't know, but.
No, and that's what I'd say to people. Okay, so yes, there's a lot of people out there that want to become YouTube famous. This was never my journey. This didn't start out for Fred until Doug Marcaida, before Doug Marcaida was famous. So Doug had just started his journey, and now Doug is famous. Everyone knows him around the world. For knives and so but Fred had got a reputation in Europe, in Western Europe, for his bouncing. He was one of the first people to do bodyguard work and actually be paid for it. So most guys, when they're most stars in Europe, they pick people like, oh, you can bodyguard, but they don't pay them.
Right.
So JCVD pays Fred for all his appearances and stuff. They're great friends. I've sat there and talked to them on the phone, and it's crazy to sit there and think that you're talking to these people, and Fred's like, hey, check it out. So for his birthday, and then for my birthday, I've talked to JCVD. It's an interesting sensation. But yeah, he kind of changed the way the industry looked at it. He started bodyguarding, protecting, because he doesn't look like the big, but Fred is very good at what he does. And he's very discreet. So for that level, he is. Actually, I train with other guys. Olivier Gruner, he also does bodyguard work. He does more military. He's really good at what he does too. He's also a movie star. But he's Celine Dion's
Okay.
For the Olympics, he was bodyguarding Celine Dion.
Yeah.
I work with him for my combat fighting and shooting. I go to Vegas, Gruner Tactical Fighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, and again, that's why I encourage everyone. Unfortunately, I really wish I could go. I'm just really busy. But like, I wish everyone who can make it would go to that seminar. To, you know, if they have a background in BJJ, if they have a background in competition, just go there and ask the questions.
Absolutely.
And, you know, just be nice about it, people. Don't go there and because.
well, if you do go like that, that's what you'll see some old videos, right? And this is where always people comment because he did the knife one. I'll give you a free seminar if you can block my knife strike.
Yeah.
Which it's a trick because the brain doesn't fire that fast. And I make the comments and people are like, oh, but I can put my hand, I practice Wing Chun and I could get my hand off your hand, around your hand and block your face within 14 inches. There may be someone out there in the world that can do it.
For sure.
But 99.99% of the people in the world aren't that fast.
Right.
And so to be able to do a knife strike up, catch the chin and slice,
Yeah.
that's where you see some of his old stuff. Fred's fast. And he tells people, I'm going to do this. Boom. And he hits him. I'm going to do this now. Ready? Boom. And he hits him. Because your brain just can't block it quick enough. Nobody has been able to block this strike in any seminar. And now it's kind of the joke. Hey, we're going to do the knife thing. You know, and you will get one or two people, but they just don't do it because it's with his speed and your reaction time, it's almost impossible.
Well, what do you have to say to the guys who, like, especially in like the Funker tactical videos in the comment section, who say like, "Oh, well, he's got cooperative partners." Like what's your perspective on that?
It's true. It's you've got cooperative partners because you're making a film,
Yeah.
and it doesn't look as good if I go full speed. You're gonna ask me to slow down so you can see what my hands are doing. And so when you see Fred do this stuff, I'm fast. Fred's faster than me, and Fred has some guys that are faster than him. So when you're going full speed in an altercation, bodies are so close. That's why people say dirty boxing. Dirty boxing is more about being really, 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 really close, so your referee can't see what you're actually doing. That's why dirty boxing is dirty boxing. It's not because there's some secret code.
Yeah.
No, it's I can do a head strike or an elbow strike without the ref catching it because I'm so close.
Or a little knee strike.
Or the knee. So when you're that close, if you're trying to film for YouTube purposes and you want to make something sensational, if all of a sudden we're standing together and then you fall over, is that a good video?
Right.
And this is what we've talked about, right? So we're like, okay, you need to turn this way for the camera so that we can get more of your body shot. And I'm like, what? So if you make stuff for film, it looks one way. If you do stuff for real life, it looks another.
Yeah.
And for fighting, it's an entirely different. For ambush style fighting, if I have to crawl, if I have to cry, get on my knees, do whatever I need to do to get within inches of you, I will.
Yeah.
And that doesn't look good for camera.
No.
6'2" grown man crying on his knees. Sorry, man. But did I get where I needed to go?
Right.
And that's what it's about. And that's why people forget that. They're like, but in a fight, yeah, would I cry in a fight? Would I be like, wait, look over there? No, I wouldn't do that. But in the street, would I go, look at my watch? Because these are, if you study psychological response, anyone who fights, psychology is part of it. And how you know someone's following you?
I'd say it's at least 75%.
It's a huge portion of it. And this is where people, and physics, there's so much more science involved in fighting. That's why my place is called Self-Defense Fit Lab, because it's a lab. There should be a moment where you look at it scientifically, not mystically. That's why we wear shoes on the mat. Mat is there for protection. It's a safety device.
Yeah.
It's not a mystical surface. So you should look at scientifically, how much force do I need to apply? What angle do I need to take? What curvature do I need to take? With that, also, how do I psychologically beat them?
Right.
Do I psych them out? Do I cry a little bit? Whatever I do to get there? Do I look at my watch? But I don't have a watch, but will you look at your watch? If I say, hey, do you got the time? Because I know you're following me. And then you look down and you're like, oh, shit. And that buys me a half second. Or a fun one, and this is what I learned. If you know like a homeless is going to come up to you,
Yeah.
ask him, hey, do you have any change? And they'll be like, well but wait, I was going to, oh, do you have a cigarette? So you beat them to the punch. And this is what like a lot of undercover cops do. If you can take a psychological advantage, now they have to recover.
Yeah.
They're on their heels in a sense.
Yeah.
So that buys you that second, that nanosecond to figure out what you need to do.
Right. Right. Okay, so let's go to the next question here. Many viewers pointed out that pain compliance techniques may not work on individuals who are under the influence of drugs or
Absolutely.
high adrenaline. What strategies do you suggest for dealing with opponents who are less susceptible to pain? And actually, to follow up the whole homeless guy thing, I'm not scared of homeless people. I'm scared of the guy who's out of his mind. And we pass him all the time in the streets here in California.
Yes.
You can't ask that guy for change. He's
No, and that's the scary part, right? So it's okay. So we'll talk about your first thing now, and I'll give you a story because I like to. It's like crazy Uncle Cliff's story time. How Fred got off the salat. This is how Fred went. Salat is not the answer. So Fred is bodyguarding, and his instructor says, "Okay, just kick him in the nuts, and they'll drop."
Yeah, that doesn't.
Right. So he's boom, and yay! About the fifth altercation, boom. Sixth one comes, kicks the guy. The guy looks at him, and he went, "Huh." Boom. Guy keeps looking at him. He's like, "Oh crap! Now what do I do?"
This guy like a Ken doll or something? Or?
Don't know. Don't. And actually, he didn't go into too much detail. He goes, but that's what he goes. Then I had to actually get in a fight with a guy in the club, and you're like, I kicked the guy, didn't go anywhere. I kicked the guy again, didn't go anywhere. He's like, that's when I realized groin kick doesn't solve everything.
No.
So you have to learn more when groin kick doesn't work. So there are people that, yeah, you kick them and that doesn't work. And unfortunately, the response at that point is you have to start breaking things on people.
Yeah.
Okay? To be gentle and go, oh, let me do something else. We're talking about an average altercation. And there are those moments where you have to go dark and you have to be a different person and you have to turn the lights off on your conscience. So that's when you're going to stick your fingers in someone's eyeball. That's when you're going to do things to create a moment to get away. This is not to win a fight. This is to get away. Remember, self-defense is doing enough with what they give you and getting away.
Right.
I'm not trying to see how cool I look. If I can poke you real quick in the eye or if I can break a finger really, really quick, maybe you feel it or maybe you don't. But I can get away.
Yeah.
And I trained with a guy, his name's Elliot, he's out of Utah, and we were wrestling around and he's good at jiu-jitsu and I'm terrible at jiu-jitsu, but I'm good at wrestling. But I had a leg lock on him and I was feeling his bones bend. And he's not tapping. And I finally, because we're just messing around, I'm like, dude, you win. I let you go because I can feel your femur bending and I can feel your stuff bending and I don't want to break it. But his tolerance has gotten so good that it just didn't mean anything to him. He was like, and the leg's like, and I felt it bend like a rainbow. And I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So in the street, would I break it?
Yeah.
Absolutely, without even thinking about it. But I'm able to turn a switch off. There's a good Cliff and a bad Cliff.
Right.
In the jiu-jitsu room or in any dojo, I'm just training. So if I have to lose a fight in order to save a friend because I don't want to break something on them, I'm not going to poke their eye. It looks violent when we do, but it's not.
Right.
We're conditioned and trained to do certain things. And I tell people all the time, my left leg is terrible. I can do the kicks, but my throttle control isn't so good. It's kind of broken and janky on that left leg. On the right leg, I can pull them and make them look really good, and I can send them wherever I want them, and I can dot eyes, man, because I have control with my right leg.
Yeah.
My left leg, I can hit what I want to hit, but I'm not sure how much power is going to be on that one.
Right.
So I try to warn people, look, if we're just doing this for demo purpose, then I don't want to hurt you. Let me just do it with my right leg because I have more control because I've spent more time in the saddle with that one.
Yeah. Well, someone actually did comment on our first video because it opens up with you doing the elbow to the knee to the thigh.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's a lot of guys in these dojos who have plenty of pain tolerance.
No, and again, when I crack Fred in there, right, he won't. Like you made the big old sound and all this stuff.
Somebody actually said I had boyish screams. Like, I can't watch this video anymore.
It's okay.
I'm like, my bad.
Look, you have varying degrees of responses, right?
Yeah.
The goal is to get your elbow inside, create a moment where they give you an inch or something. It's to distract their brain. Elbowing someone in the thigh is not going to end the fight. It's not it's a moment.
Yeah.
It is distracting them for a half second so you can buck trap and roll.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's instead of them raining down punches on you, you're hitting this real quick so that you've loaded your arm to shoot it up so you can buck trap and roll. So they don't inch up on you to run their knees up underneath your armpits, and now you're stuck and you can't do anything. It's controlling your space.
Yeah.
Whether you create that giant pain where they scream like with boyish charm,
Yeah.
or they make no sound and look at you like you're a dummy.
Well,
there's my...
It's funny you say that because I remember it wasn't long after I had a class, and of course in Krav Maga we train to keep your arms up here. I don't know if the audience see it, but so like the legs can't get past. And then I just started hitting, and I'm like, oh, that's actually what you're supposed to do.
Repeatedly hit, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, because that's the best way to at least get them to scoot back a little bit.
And you want to go slightly inside to that soft tissue if you can get there.
Yeah.
Because, the front of our legs, I bang them into tables all the time. And there's guys who take leg kicks. I take leg kicks.
You have an extreme pain tolerance. It's shocking.
I take leg kicks, and we practice that. I practice a lot of stuff because, again, in the street, you're not a superhero.
No.
You're going to take punches. And the best thing that Sebastian ever taught me, Seb, he's like, I'm going to make you out of granite. He's like, the best thing ever is when someone punches you and you look at them and you go, is that all you got? He's like, it just crushes their soul. Yeah. So if you can absorb pain and punishment and you can stand there and it doesn't faze you and you're made out of granite, it takes the wind right out of their sails. Right. You don't actually have to, at that point, they kind of second guess why did I do this? So maybe you talk your way out of it. You're like, are we really going to do this at this point? Is this something you really want to, this is a pathway you really want to take? Yeah. So maybe you don't actually have to fight because you could take a couple of hits. Okay. So that's why we train body hardening at the very start of my classes. We start, there's no warm up, there's no nothing, because in the streets you don't go, let me stretch out real quick and warm up my hammies so we can get going. If you can't fight cold 100%.
I need a good half an hour.
I'm going to say, but that's what I'm saying is a lot of people are like, well, you didn't properly stretch. You needed what street fight did you ever get into where you got to like do your rolls and I got to do my bridges and I got to warm up my arms? Yeah. Man, I went from holding a drink to punching someone in the face, maybe with the drink is still in my hand, or getting tossed on my head. Yeah. There was no moment where I got to warm up. Yeah. And so if your body can't go from 0 to 100 and back to 0, you need to change your and when you're warmed up, you can do amazing things in jiu-jitsu. When you're all flexible and limber, you can do amazing things. But your flexibility cold, it's reduced. Your tendons are tighter, your muscles are tighter. Everything is not working like it's supposed to. The fluids aren't kind of moving. Yeah. So you've got to be prepared for that moment in time. It's going from, hey, everything is good, to getting hit in the side of the face and then addressing a threat.
Now, when you say body hardening, are you talking about actual, like, striking the students? Because a lot of people, they completely poo-poo that. They're like,
oh, man.
That's actually kind of a McDojo thing that they make fun of, is, like, the trainer punching the guys in the face with the boxing gloves and stuff like that. But, like... I never personally saw it that way. I was like, we
don't hit in the face.
It's not good to hit in the face.
No, we don't hit in the face.
I took a lot of crap for being...
Oh, hit in the head.
Hit in the head.
Yeah, because the mic was there and it sounded really good. Yeah. And again, I was pulling him, but it sounded amazing, by the way. I listen to it all the time, like, ooh, and I still wins, but... So body hardening, right? So and I get it too, right? So I train with a guy named Jacob Bresler. He's an amazing kapap. So there's different styles of Krav Maga, Krav Panin, Haganah. There's all kinds, right? And I'm not going to try and massacre and tell you exactly what they all mean. 30 years, been teaching it, and he does movies. He's done most of the action movies that you saw in the 80s and 90s with Jean-Claude Van Damme, all these people. Nice. I got to meet Frank Dukes, by the way. He brought Frank Dukes, the real Frank Dukes. Nice. And we're sitting there, and we're training with Olivier, and Frank Dukes rolls up. He's like, hey, this is Frank Dukes. And we're like, Bloodsport. So,
that's pretty cool.
So I got to meet that guy. But he's the guy that did all the fight career, and he's got the calluses on his knuckles, and he trains all this stuff. And he gave me it. Why are you hitting so hard? Because everyone for the last 20 years have been telling him to go softer. And then I was like, I'm not going to stop, buddy. I was like, I've been doing this, and the people he goes, how do you get the gyms not to get mad at you for punching so hard? I've been doing this for years. And he trains at Mark Parra's House of Champions. Yeah. And he teaches there. And then I went in there for a seminar with Fred, and we're popping people. Boom, boom. And he was like, I guess it was a moment of jealousy or whatever.
Yeah.
Because he was a Krav guy that was used to punching people. But then he gave me the lecture of why are you hitting so hard? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, if you don't train as if, you're going to pull that punch when it comes time for real. So if you have to put something, behind it, or you have to connect and then push through so that your muscles know the chemical path is made so that it's there. Mm-hmm. Your brain knows the path. Whether you add volume or no volume, but I mean by volume, I mean power. If you train a perfect punch and you connect every time to the front of the nose, and that's all you ever train where you're just touching the nose and you pull it, right? It'll be perfect. But the problem I had with the not touching and the being soft, the Krav gym I trained at, we did the punch to the side of the head. So you punch
just
with
past
force,
the head.
just past the head, right? Mm-hmm. The problem I had, I got to sparring, I punched just past the head.
Yeah.
I didn't connect with the head.
Yeah.
My instincts took over, and I wasn't thinking, and I let it fly, but I didn't connect, and I was like, that sucked.
So are you connecting
Oh, yeah.
now?
Yes, because when we do the head and we do the connection, when I'm not punching the head, we push, and then we push the head so that your muscles know, and your stuff, we're not popping people in the head.
Okay.
But when we hit the body, I want you to hit the body because body hardening isn't for the person that's getting hit. It's for the person that's hitting, because a body has a lot of fluid, has a lot of tissue, has some funny lumpy stuff, has bones, has ultimately a crap ton of texture. Mm-hmm. And if you're not used to that texture, you'll roll your fists.
Yeah.
So if you're not bare knuckle and you're not connecting, and I'm telling you, I'm teaching you self-defense, and you can't walk out in the street and actually punch a body because I'm pulling punches because it's the nice thing to do.
Yeah. I'm
lying to you, and I'm taking money I shouldn't take. So we hit the body because I have a gentleman in there that lost 400. He was 400 pounds, and he's lost several. And he found out he kind of had like a superpower where he could take punches, but he has a lot of fat, like the adipose tissue, but it's really lumpy, hard fat that won't go away.
Yeah.
And when you punch that stuff, your fist starts rolling and it starts moving around, and you get that boxer's fracture. And if you're not used to that level of texture, it's totally different. So in body hardening, it's for the person who's punching, not for the person who's getting hit. And you can do it without hurting the person. You connect to the body and then you push through. Connect to the body, then push through. If you want to be a jerk and you want to hit each other, fine. I've had people come in because they've had some traumas. So body hardening for them was like a cathartic moment where they felt they did something bad, so they needed to get hit. And you watch them work through their demons. And you try to be, as an instructor, you try to help them. You go, okay, look, you've got what you need. Dial it back. You need to be perfect. It's a fine skill to make sure you're not hurting each other. But it's something that needs to be done. Hitting a body, hitting somebody, and practicing actually hitting. They talk about scenario-based sparring all the time. They don't do scenario-based sparring. We do it all the time.
Yeah.
We counter with punches. You punch in, I'm going to counter, and I'm going to hit you in the chest, or I'm going to hit you in the arm.
I mean, we even do that in Krav, too. Like, you start off on the ground, and then you stand up or whatever.
Again, you started at a good gym. There's a lot of, let me be very clear. Krav has earned a bad name because there's so many places that got a Krav class.
Yeah.
Because it was going to bolster their numbers. They went to Maya or they went to some other seminar, and they said, oh, your numbers are bad for your karate dojo or your jiu-jitsu place. You need a self-defense class. You know, the buzz right now is Krav Maga. So if you go to, I'm not going to name the places, but there's a lot of places you could go to, pay an X amount of money. Within a couple of months, you got your black belt degree, and that's why we get the name McDojo. So when I tell people to look for a Krav gym, it should be a gym that only teaches Krav Maga, not a class of Krav Maga in a gym that has something else.
Right.
Because what happens is people that are doing something else will put their sauce into the mix, and it won't be Krav Maga.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I have is everyone wants to say, oh, it's Krav Maga. And I watch people I took Krav Maga over here at this Kung Fu studio. I'm like, well, show me 360 defenses. And then I'm seeing all this funky stuff, and I'm like, well, it's kind of.
Yeah.
It's like, why don't you find a Krav gym? And when you ask them the question, what classes do you teach? If they only teach Krav Maga and nothing else, it's a good place to start.
Well, and that's what I heard too. Krav Maga tends to take on the flavor of whatever past the instructor had. And one guy described it as really bad MMA or really bad BJJ, you know.
Yeah, that's why I started my journey with Krav Maga. That's why I studied 4 different styles, because I wanted to see where they all mixed up, because there's an origin moment for that move where 360 defense and 360 defense, but why would we do a slap kick? So what's the origin of a slap kick? Why would you slap kick a knife out of their hand? If I'm a knife holder, all I've got to do is just turn the blade towards a foot, and now I've got a skewered foot.
Yeah.
I always thought it was a bad idea, so I kind of went on this journey of discovery because once I did worldwide Krav Maga, and then I went to AIKMA and I saw some subtle differences, and then USKMA had some subtle differences, and then Roy Ogani is an amazing martial artist, but he had differences as well. His kick stances were different, his approach to a kicks were different. He was a smaller frame person, maybe $160, $180.
Yeah.
But he kicked like he was 240 pounds. A lot of energy. And he does more Israeli jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So and I had a conversation with him because he's jumping up on them and dropping an elbow like Ong Bak, and I looked at him, I'm like, dude, there's no way I can jump up on their thigh and elbow their head. The moment I do that, they're going to fall over. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, I'm 250 pounds. I'm going to step on their leg and they're going to... I was like, I can run into them and I'll knock them the hell back.
Yeah.
But there's no way I'm going to be able to climb up on their back and deliver an elbow to the crown of their head and drop them.
Right.
I'm better off running into them like a linebacker and sending them through a wall.
Yeah. Well, here's a question for you. What do you have to say to the people who are maybe scared to try MDS, because it
got a bad name.
It's got a bad name. I mean, you even told me, I'm like, I got no business doing this content to begin with. And you're like, no, you actually softened our MDS, repertoire.
Because for a while there, everyone wanted to see martial arts movies. And let's get real. I even told you to do a best hits reel.
Yeah.
Right? Because people like to see people getting hit. They like to say how bad it is.
With some Benny Hill music.
But yeah, make it cartoony. But the fact is, everyone likes violence. That's why we watch boxing. That's why we watch MMA. That's why we're now watching King of the Streets, bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah.
And you watch these other stuff. We like the train wreck. Okay? And yes, for a while there, everyone was producing videos that super serious, super this and super that, and boom, boom, boom. And yeah, you're going to get the people that go, that'll work. Then you get the people who go, I could never see that working. But that's why it evolved that way, because of all your questions. Well, I want to see it in a sparring situation. So you want to see true violence. You want to see me making someone bloody.
Yeah.
But then you're going to tell me, why am I hitting so hard? It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't moment. Okay? So I hit someone really hard, and then you tell me I'm a bad man because I hit someone really hard. Or I do it this way, and you say, well, I want to see it. It's not going to work. That would never work on me. So I like the evolution because now it's more approachable. When I did it, legitimately, I walked into the room. I went for my certification. They're going down the line, Croatia, Special Forces, blah, Belgium, Secret Police. And they're going down the line, and they legitimately said, and this is Cliff from L.A., and I went, hi.
Hi, I like to fight.
I like to fight and drink.
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is do you have anything you'd like to say to maybe the woman who wants to take a self-defense class, or like the scrawny guy like me?
Absolutely. Actually, I find that if you come to my MDS class and you look in there, it's not a bunch of alpha males that know what they're doing. You'll see all walks, all shapes, and actually mostly women and beginners, because I find that it's very effective. You get something out of it. Within 2 or 3 strikes, you have actually successfully neutralized the situation to extract yourself, to get out.
Yeah.
We all think that this has to be a finishing move. It just has to cause you to think. Maybe it's like a porcupine, right? Porcupines are giant, fat little balls.
Yeah.
But they have needles.
Right.
And so if you get stuck by a needle, you stop and you think about it, right? Look at a wombat. You know how a wombat defends himself? It's got a fat butt. And it crushes their skull. Like, it's a weird fact. It crushes the skull of its enemies up against its burrow.
Yeah.
And it sticks its butt out. So it bites but it's a defense mechanism. So it's just a giant ball of meat.
Yeah.
So for people that don't have any experience, and they're not the alpha males, and they're not me, they like to go out and fight and do stuff. And mind you, I'm old now. There is no reason to be fighting. Find a constructive place to do it, right? Wrestle. If I could give anyone a hint, like for starting out, if you're even wondering, spend some time on the mat wrestling. Jiu-jitsu is great.
Yeah.
Some of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners, though, start out as wrestlers.
Yeah.
Good wrestlers, good jiu-jitsu guys can go wrestling, but some of the most dynamic best jiu-jitsu guys on the planet, came from wrestling.
Right.
Because it's the speed and intensity in which you do it.
Yeah.
So if you want to go out there in the world, and I have so many people, I wish I would have wrestled. And when I started wrestling, it was not the popular thing. It was like, oh, so you do the people's elbow and you wear the
Well,
tights.
hold on. Define wrestling.
Wrestling is
Like high school
collegiate.
wrestling?
Yeah.
Collegiate wrestling?
Collegiate, folk, Roman Greco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And freestyle. So these are the wrestling side of it. That's actually the Olympic caliber wrestling. Then you have wrestling, right? Collegiate is also folk. They call folk. So that's more ground. You have to control your throws. Greco-Roman is throws. Freestyle is like a hybridized between the two. So there's 3 different genres in which those take place, and it's like speaking Spanish or French. They're similar, but they're not the same. Okay. That is a good way to start out. But as beginners, I mean, I see more. I'm kind of circling back.
Sure.
More people I'm seeing and when I first started, I wanted to be that alpha and only teach alphas and only have badass guys in my gym. But what I learned is I was giving more and I saw more enjoyment teaching.
Teaching the soy boys like me.
Well, but watching your journey.
Yeah.
I mean, even my interaction with you so far, I've noticed slight changes, and I can't wait to see your evolution because it's more gratifying for me.
Yeah.
You take like a high level athlete that comes into your gym and trains because Fred works with them all the time. They're going to take what they need, and they're going to continue their journey. My gym is a family style gym.
Right.
We're there for each other. So some of the best give back for me is watching someone evolve and grow with my gym. And you get more out of it by teaching someone who has 0 or minimal experience. And they get more from the combination of MDS and Krav or whatever you're teaching. It works really well.
Okay.
So like I say, most of my seminars, I do Krav. I do, MDS because they're faster. The moves give me better results with minimal effort.
All right, let's do the next question here.
Gotcha.
Let's see. Can you share any real-life examples or testimonials where your methods have been successfully used in self-defense situations to counter the argument that your techniques are more theoretical or showmanship?
Oh, so the funny thing is, I just had a kid go to boot camp, right? Apparently got in a fight at boot. And his sister comes back and goes, "Oh, Michael wants to talk to you. He got in a fight at boot.
Oh, God.
And the MDS stuff worked." I hear that stuff all the time because it's a moment in time that, yeah, it's campy and it's funny and there's no way that's going to work. But it's because you saw it coming first.
Right.
It's like those stupid high school football plays where they hide the ball in the shirt. It works because it works, because you're not used to seeing it. And you're not going to go to George Masvidal and go, "Ha, I'm going to hide my fist." And then he's not going to fall for that. But someone in the street, they're not used to that stuff. And this is not something they're doing on a regular basis. And the one that's intent on doing damage to you, he's going to do damage to you whether or not. So either you take it and do nothing or you try.
Yeah.
You know, I have people all the time. "Oh, I would pull a knife out. I'd pull a gun out." Okay. I've had guns pulled on me. They are very scary.
Yeah.
And it sucks a lot. And you do a whole lot of talking super fast. I've had knives pulled out on me. Again, they're very scary. And if you get a knife pulled on you, you are not immortal. You will get cut.
Yeah.
You just kind of get to choose where you get cut.
Yeah.
These are moments that you have a choice. Do I do nothing and accept my fate, or do I stand up and see where the cards fall?
Right.
You know, there's one, and this is kind of what got me into fighting again. As a kid, I fought, then I stopped for a little bit, and then I started training again. Well, that break was life, right? So I found girls, and I calmed down. I didn't need to fight so much, but I was exposed to a true violence moment, and I froze. And I was embarrassed for myself that I let that situation happen to somebody else, and I did nothing about it. So at that point, I said, and I cried. And I was like, I can't believe I did nothing. I just let that happen to that person. and I was embarrassed. So then I started training kickboxing again. So I was like, this is never going to happen again. So it's kind of been my evolution. As a kid, I fought, and then I'm like, no, I'm going to be a nice guy. And then I saw something happen where a bad thing happened to somebody, and I did nothing about it. I just let it happen, and I felt embarrassed and ashamed of myself. So then I started training again, and then I met another girl, and I was like, oh, I'm happy again. And then I was pacing around the house like a tiger, and I was taking a bunch of antacids and a bunch of other stuff, and I'd forgotten my fight world. And my wife got me a membership to a Krav gym because I'd been talking about it, and I watched MMA just like every other guy, sit on the couch and remembering when I was a good fighter and did all this stuff, and it was super cool. And then my wife's like, here, go to the gym, get out of my house. And I was like, oh. So she bought me a 1-month membership, and then I got there, and the first week I'm like, I signed up for a year. She's like, what? I was like, it was only a month. I was like, sorry. And then that started my
Was that a West Coast Krav Maga?
Yeah, it was a decade-plus journey.
Yeah.
Right? I'm over a decade into this journey of Krav. So I think I'm like 12 years in, something like that. I was just about to turn 40. So in my late 30s, and I was 46-inch waist, 250 pounds, dad bod XL. So
Okay.
I was extremely out of shape, and I just like everybody else, but they remembered what they were. And so then as I started training, my first day, I didn't even get past the warm-up. It was starting the warm-up, the spit was just hanging. It was so thick, it was hanging. I couldn't get it free. I'm like, and I'm dying. And Chris sees me and goes, you want a water, buddy? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, by the way, that was just the warm-up. I'm like, I had this panic look. I'm like, are you kidding me? There's no way I'm going to survive this, right?
Yeah.
And then Daniel walks up. We start punching, and Daniel walks up and goes, oh, you have some fight experience, I can say. And then my head got big. Yeah, you know. But I realized how much I didn't know. The more I was working with this stuff, I saw similarities in what I've done before from wrestling and things like that, but how much I didn't know. Now I talk to these same guys that I used to fight with all the time, and they said the same shit I said, same stuff I said, is, if the time comes, I'm good to go. I can fight anybody. I'll drop anybody. I'm a machine. I know this. You have a knife, but it's a rusty butter knife right now.
Yeah.
So you have to train this stuff. It's like doing high-level math on the spot. Like you're calculating velocity, you're calculating pressure, you're moving. I mean, there's so much more involved in fighting. And these guys that do fighting for a living, we think it's a dumb thing, but these guys are super smart, super high-level athletes. The conditioning to do that is crazy.
Yep.
So street is not as hectic.
Yeah.
Now, this is one of the things I always see. Oh, go face an MMA guy. Okay, would an MMA guy or a professional fighter do well in the street? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna because they're trained fighters.
Yeah.
But a boxer is gonna overpunch his hand because remember, a boxer's hands are wrapped. They're fixed, so he can rain down terror and punch way past his wrist capacity. MMA guys, they go to the ground. Jiu-jitsu guys, they go to the ground. Asphalt is like 10 grit.
Yeah.
I used to love grabbing people's face and running it along a stucco wall or running it along the concrete because the moment, and it's not a fast, you just slow grind someone's limb or a face, and that takes the wind out of them because they're feeling that pain in real time.
Yeah.
So it's over.
Yeah.
You win. Any fight where they walk away and you're still there, that's a win, whether you threw punches or not. In my book, you survived it. Good job.
You're right. Right.
You know?
Right.
And the goal is to get them to quit so you can walk away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially with self-defense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Next question. Let's see here.
Fire away.
How are we doing so far, Cliff? You enjoying this?
It's an experience. It's like, again, we were making the jokes and I made one reference to it. It's like story time. I've got so many anecdotal stories because I'm old and I've done so many stupid things.
Well, yeah, you've got a storied life. Whew.
So Goodwill Hunting, that whole carpe diem.
It's not your fault.
Oh, but it was the carpe diem, seize the day,
Yeah.
right? That for me was my motto for the longest time. I never want to have a woulda, shoulda, coulda. So I did a lot of things because I didn't want to miss. I had it's called FOMO now.
Yeah.
Before we had a cool phrase, but now it's your FOMO. So that's why I did.
We've lost touch with our Roman roots.
Right. It was way more dramatic back
Yeah.
then. But that's why I did a lot of things, because I was afraid of missing something. So I did a lot of stupid things.
I guess, okay, people have called you a grifter in the comments.
Okay.
You know, they say you've got this magic system. What's your response to those people?
So you labeled me a master. That's what you did. And so they're like,
Did I label you a master?
Yes, you did.
Oh, yeah. Did I say you're an MDS master?
You said, well, the first one you said something about master, and the other one, and I've never called myself a master. That was one of the biggest talks when I opened my gym. What are they going to call you? Oh, Sifu and all these fancy names. And I'm like, no. I understand coach, right?
Yeah.
And I never thought I'd be good enough to actually teach. It just so happened that when I was in classes, my partner, and you can, I can, anyone who reaches out to me, I'll tell you who my partners are. You can call them up and ask them if I would do my stuff. They would teach the lesson. I would do my stuff, and I would start adding my sauce to the mix. And then all of a sudden the move would change for the class, and it would now be that stuff. And I had Daniel come up to me and say, why don't you do your own thing? And I never thought I'd be a teacher. In a million years, I never thought I'd be a teacher. I was on my journey, and I thought I would always be just on my journey.
Yeah.
I helped other people that were training with me, my training partners. I had Doug, I had Robert, I had a bunch of guys that liked training with me, but it was always just my journey. And then when I decided, it was because my mom was a victim of domestic violence. And I took her to my Krav class, and I watched her come back because she started becoming empowered.
Yeah.
And I started helping her and teaching her, and she says, you have something. And everyone's telling me I have something, and I'm like, I don't have anything.
I think you have something.
People keep telling me that.
Yeah.
So grifter, I still don't believe in myself. So those guys, I'd probably say they're right, because for me, I still think I'm on my journey. I'm not a master. I'm not a Hall of Famer. I'm a nobody. There's so many great people that have a wonderful stuff. For me, I kind of feel like Rain Man.
Yeah.
I see something and I know it works. And I have really good guys ask me, they're like, Cliff, what's your opinion? And if you guys want to know who they're, reach out to me. I'll give you a list of names. You guys can call them, ask them an opinion of what they think of Cliff.
Yeah.
And these guys are what you would consider high caliber people.
Yeah.
I'm not. I've never had that moment where, I've done a movie. I did a movie with Olivia. Yeah, I did. Yeah. I got a talking part the whole bit, but I don't know. I don't even know if it's there because they may never make the movie. But these guys look to me for advice because I try to find things that make sense. I'm not trying to overcomplicate things, especially in the street. I'm not trying to sell a bag of tricks and snake oil. And again, my goal was to, anytime someone came into my class, I wanted to be able to give them something they could take out that would work, right? And was I a smart person and did a lot of fighting? And I'm not trying to sensationalize that.
Right.
But what I try to show people in my gym is what this guy looks like.
Yeah.
So I play the bad guy a lot, right? So I'm because I'm the big gorilla. And my teachers aren't all my size. They're all walks, all shapes, because if you can't learn from me, you can learn from Chris, or you can learn from Sarah, or you can learn from Lewis, or you can learn from William. They all have different stories. They all have different makeup. They all do different things.
Yeah.
And then I have kids teaching as well, because maybe what I say doesn't speak to you.
Right.
And when I tell people, I'm not a hard sell in my gym. I tell people come to my gym. I'm like, hey, did you have a good time? Great. That's all I want to know. Go home.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean go home? Well, if this is something you want to do, you'll come back. I probably should be a better salesman, but I'm terrible at it. But I always wanted cheers in my gym, right? I want it to be value, that you see that you're getting something good. Maybe I'm not the right teacher for everybody. And I tell that to people. Look, if we don't get along and we're not a good mix and you don't feel you're getting value from me, I can point you to other gyms. And I will recommend them. And I want them to have the best experience possible.
Well, yeah, and I think that's something people need to take into consideration. You didn't even really want to be on YouTube.
No, you talked me into
I
this.
talked you into it, and yeah, you just teach, but people kind of look at what you're teaching, and it maybe goes against what they've learned in their competition style fight gyms, and some people have called you a grifter, and I'm like, again, I hate to bring up the Detroit survival guy, but you're not making millions of dollars on social media money. Well, you're not out there selling your system like.
No.
If anything, I've victimized you by putting you on the spot, and I'm sorry about that.
This whole evolution, right? So people have been bugging me since I started MDS to do videos.
Yeah.
Cliff, you need to do videos. And I was like, I'm not good enough. I don't want to be that guy. If I have value, if you see value in what I'm teaching, great. And I've argued with Fred on some of his moves, and we've gone back and forth. And there's stuff that Fred does that I don't see the way that he sees it, right?
Yeah.
So I teach it, but I'm like that guy that's teaching a class that he doesn't like when I'm teaching those moves. But there's a lot of value in other stuff, and I have to believe in the product, right? I won't teach anything, I won't sell anything if I don't believe in it. And I want people to have an understanding of that, right? I didn't want to be, I don't want to be famous.
Right. You're going to be, though. I already told him, guys, in a year, he's going to be on Joe Rogan. So tag Joe Rogan.
Man, that would be an absolute dream, because he's a legend.
Yeah.
He's not only a legend entertainment wise, but he grabbed every brass ring possible when it was presented to him. And he's very successful. He's an amazing martial artist. Dude, he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
So an amazing man. Way better than me. And I don't see myself that way, but I have a lot of people behind me propping me up and saying that there's something there. And I have really, it's neat, but yeah, I guess I would kind of not grifter, because I'm not trying to sell snake oil, right?
No.
If you don't like my product, I totally get it. You wanted a video to show something at a moment in time.
Yeah.
So we picked a move that I knew that always gets response.
Yeah.
So, yes, did I pick that on purpose because I'd seen other people do these videos and I knew the response they would give, because you would get the back and forth that you wanted? Yeah, and that's where YouTube is a factory.
Yeah.
It's not. Lewis did a great video with you with the knife stuff, right? But if you look at all his comments, they're all like, "You did a great job, wonderful job." There's no conflict.
Yeah.
He did everything by the book.
Yeah.
Like, everything by the book didn't get it done.
Yeah.
So you need that back and forth, that oh, he's too cocky or he's too this, that human quality, in order for people to go, oh, I'm either gonna like him or hate him. And I saw a comment last night. I swear the guy was drinking.
What did he say?
Oh, look at so it was a comment.
I'm getting comments right now, actually.
Yeah, it was a comment last night that he's like, if you bite me, I'm gonna bite you back. And he's like,
oh yeah, that one guy that's like, I've been known to bite ears off, right? Or was that today?
No, this one he's like, you got a 120-pound guy, my daughter could beat him.
Yeah,
that guy. And I was like, dude, you're just what they call it. So this is new for me, the internet trolls that I'm supposed to just not do anything about.
Well, and
I get it.
I
understand.
Here's the thing, Cliff. I asked Cliff. I said, because Cliff actually did have someone show up to his gym. It was friendly.
Yeah,
it was really cool, and I'm glad that
he's coming back.
He's from Utah.
For free.
Yeah. But Cliff, you told me, you're like, look, here's the deal. I will tell each and every one person, come to my gym, sign a waiver, but you're not going to film it, because I am not going to make you famous, or I'm not going to make myself famous, and I don't want a video of me destroying someone on camera.
That's my past, man. If someone were to show up in my gym, God forbid, please God don't. If you show up in my gym, I'm not running from it. What'll happen? You'll sign a waiver. It'll probably be an off time, because if this is something you truly feel passionate about and you wanted to see where you measure in the world, my wife's gonna get mad at me. I understand this. I'm sorry. We'll shut the doors, roll the doors down. It's not going to be filmed, because if this is something that you're truly passionate about, It's not to make you famous. You want to see where you measure in time, I'm okay with that. We will do whatever we do, and afterwards we'll go buy a beer and we'll have fun stories about it, and bring a mouth guard, because we're not putting gloves on, we're not putting headgear on, and we're gonna train. We'll call it training, and it's whatever caliber you want training, but you're gonna sign a waiver and you're not gonna get famous.
So if someone actually does want to test your moves, God forbid, you do
Please
offer
don't.
them to come to your studio and meet you.
Crap.
Am I open? I can cut this out.
No.
I
that's
don't want to
fine, that's
open
fine.
the
No, no,
door.
no. Again, old school, they used to show up at your gym. They used to do gym challenges, right?
Yeah.
But now I own 2 other businesses. So the gym is where I give back. The gym is where I give back to the community.
You told me to take a loss on your gym too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I give back. This is where this is my feel good place, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to come to my feel good place and you want to see where you measure in the world and you're hell bent on seeing if it works or not, let's go into a night. I don't actually want to be a fight. We'll train. We'll trade ideas.
Okay.
You can try your ideas on me. I'll try my ideas on you. But at some point, we're not going to go full-fledged fight. I'm too old.
Yeah.
I don't really want to go for blows. But I have had guys walk in, and these were high-level Krav guys, and I want to see, and so then I do a quick leg kick, and they fall over like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
They do that again, and so because they're ready for that one, I do it to the other leg.
Yeah.
Like, and this is how I tell people, look, come into my gym. Maybe I have something of value to teach you. Maybe I don't. I can teach from beginner all the way up to high-level fighter, but maybe I don't speak your language. Maybe I don't get it communicated just perfectly to you. That means I'm not the guy for you, and I understand that. But if there's someone hell-bent on proving that I don't know what I'm talking about, it's only a personal thing that you're going to get this for.
Right.
You're not going to walk in because you walk in with a camera to my gym and you do a gym challenge. You have nothing to lose. If I beat you, of course he's going to beat you. Blah, blah, blah. He weighs 250, blah, 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 whatever. But if I lose, now I lose that. But I lose either way, because if I beat you, now I'm on YouTube, and the other 2 businesses that I do have nothing to do with fighting. I'm in the real estate world. I have a construction company. It does not help my image at all to become a professional fighter. And I'm too old to become a professional fighter for call-out challenges. There are plenty of guys that if you want that experience, I know plenty of guys that would love to tangle.
Yeah.
But if you're hell-bent on seeing where you measure with me and you think I'm full of it, let's have a friendly training session. It's on me. I won't charge you a dime. Sign a waiver. We'll shut the doors. We'll have a good time, and we'll go get a beer afterwards.
See, that doesn't sound like a grifter to me, though. Like I said, you don't make a ton of money on your training, on your gym. You aren't, you haven't been you've been doing this for over 10 years. You haven't been on the internet until you met me.
Yeah, people have been begging me to do it. I just don't want to.
Yeah, honestly, I think a lot of people are misinformed. They have the wrong idea. And to be fair, I don't fault them. There are a lot of grifters out there. There are a lot of McDojos out there. There are a lot of, it's just, but I don't think that's a fair description of you.
Well, so you keep bringing up Detroit guy, right? So in that game, in the wrestling game, they're called shills, right? So you have someone you want to hate.
Yeah.
So that's why we have all these Detroit self-defense. His idea started out good, but he had more people hating him. But YouTube rewarded it. Instagram rewarded it because he got traffic. So now you have all these people, and he's absolutely making fun of the situation, but he's getting paid.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't he be the bad guy? They do it in WWE all the time. You get the bad guys become good guys, from the baby faces.
Yeah.
The darker side of the 90s. If you ever watched any of those episodes, people would get rewarded for being grifters, bad guys, shills, heels, because they want that conflict, right? The video that we do, if we didn't have the people hating me, you wouldn't be getting the YouTube wouldn't give you the traffic you wanted.
Yeah. And that's
You have to have the dialogue.
You do have to have the dialogue. Yeah. And that disappoints me. I would
love to be kumbaya, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's
Well,
not.
and there's guys out there on YouTube they've made their bones on YouTube, and they're so nice. They're so positive, like Sensei Seth and
Great guys.
Yeah, Jesse Enkamp. Like Jesse Enkamp, I talk to his brother every once in a while on Instagram. Those are the nicest guys ever. They're so polite. They're so cordial, and but my goal, I don't want to sensationalize things either, though. Like that's not.
You have a good outlook.
Yeah, well, because I actually, at the end of the day, like, do want to show people good martial arts moves, and I think what's his name who does McDojo Life. His whole thing is the signs of a McDojo are, certain sneaky business practices, but also one of the things they say is like, you cannot go to anyone else. I am God. I am the only one who can teach you how to fight, and it's like that's not.
Oh man,
That's not you at all.
No. So what I tell people, and this is, I have other teachers that get mad. Look, I'm a moment of your time. I'm a piece of your journey.
Yeah.
Right. So it just depends on how long we walk side by side together. But there's going to come a point when everyone leaves, and don't be mad that someone's getting knowledge from somebody else. Mm-hmm. They took that moment in time with you and gave you that respect. Mm-hmm. And to move on, to evolve, is part of life.
Yeah.
So no one's journey no one stays side by side forever.
Right.
Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Your wife, your husband, nobody stays side by side forever. There's moments in time where you share that path together.
Uh-huh. But even you encourage people to go to this class and go to that class. And I've got other teachers that can, like, you do not run a McDojo. You maybe have some techniques that go against the mainstream, but like you were even saying, like, the Gracies used to be way different in the past.
Amazing.
But they were way more aggressive. They were way more brutal. And then it sort of softened up a little bit because you have to get it's dollars, but also you got to get yourself into the strip mall Sensei. That's the origin, by the way. I always thought it was funny that I was training how to be brutally violent next to a Panda Express. That was my inspiration for the name Strip Mall Sensei.
No, I used to train in a little hole in the wall.
Yeah.
But again, who's going to pay for, like, you've got to walk over the homeless guy who's got a can of beer, and then you're walking, and it's like the cheap places, but they're the smell of sweat, and you're training. And these are the places that get money for you fighting. Mm-hmm. Like I trained at a gym that got percentage of my wins, but I never got to that point with that gym because I just got tired of walking into the gym and having to strap over the homeless guy. And it was a bad part of San Bernardino. And, it was right near Salmon Wells, was where I was training and fighting. So I was like, I'm going to become a fighter. So I found this gym near there, and it was one that did fighting. It was actually, and they were going to these fights as well.
Yeah.
And that's how I found it.
Right.
But yeah, it was a hole in the wall. And it was like, we get 10% of your winnings, and you don't have to pay any gym fees. But you're going to a part of town that's near Del Rosa and Sterling in San Bernardino where cops don't go at night. And I'm training there at 7 o'clock at night, staying there till 10 o'clock at night, and I'm rolling out. And so I like the strip mall because it's great.
It's nice. You punch the bag a little bit and you go get yourself some chow mein. It's great.
Go get some Boca Pop.
Exactly. Well, let's actually talk about the future of MDS. Like, what I actually find fascinating working with you a little bit is I'm actually, like, I feel like I'm on the ground floor of this brand new fight system, kind of like what Krav Maga was in the 70s. So let's talk about your goals and Fred's goals rather for MDS.
It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. What's going on there with that?
So up until this point, MDS was no belts. It was 4 levels, but they were only instructor levels. Yeah. Right. And it was, you train with Fred to a point, and Fred said, "Okay, you've now achieved." If you look at any old school martial arts, like BJJ, you're training one day, and your instructor says, "You are now a blue belt." And this is what and they've kept their tradition alive. But for most people, they want to see where they measure. They want calculatable stuff. And unfortunately, it's becoming a strip mall sensei kind of thing, is where you have to give
Hey, now.
Wait. It's not a bad thing.
I know.
For business, doing the old school route where you never give somebody the heads up of they're going to advance or they're not, or how to advance, becomes very frustrating. It's, if you've ever watched Kung Fu, the movie with David Carradine, where you snatch the pebble grasshopper and walk on the rice paper, and now but you spend decades training, and your master never tells you you're good enough.
Yeah.
So we're evolving to a belt system, and it's a necessary thing because we saw too many people going to the instructor program that never wanted to be instructors, so we had to water down the instructor program. So that's not what we wanted to do, but it was a necessary evil. So then and again, it's because of the evolution in the United States that I had to approach Fred and say, hey, we need a belt system.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? And I was like, in Europe, your idea of snatch the pebble grasshopper is great.
Yeah.
And everyone loves it. But in the United States, I've lost so many more students because I'm like, don't worry, you're 2.5 years in, but eventually you're going to become level 2. And they're like, what do you mean? There's no belts? And I'm like,
everyone wants a trophy.
But I'm going to keep teaching you everything I know. You will know and you'll be good. But trust me, there's no belts. And that's a hard one to actually tell somebody because so many people are goal-oriented. So with MDS, we're now building the belt system. So it'll be separate from the instructor program. So now for the schools that want to add MDS to their curriculum or become MDS gyms, they now have a viable product.
Yeah.
How do you have a viable product if there's not measurable distances in time to belt people? And you're like, at some point, it's a great product if you're a good salesman because there is no end. 20 years later, you are almost there.
Eventually, you'll get to meet Xenu.
Right. And that's what comes down. So you're seeing a belt system evolve. That'll be up. We've working that right now. Fred is holding his first official level 3 in Belgium in December. That's the very first official. So before that, you got your levels just like BJJ and everything else. That's where he took this from. And in CLOT is you got to a certain point and he handed you your belt and you said you're now you're this instructor. I'm a level 3, right? I've been a level 3 for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So again, I've been chasing this dragon for a while. So, and that's part of the, I guess, This is my dragon that I chase. So
well, what interests me, because I work very closely with my trainers in Krav Maga, because I produce videos for them too. They have like a book system for
I have that as well. We've been developing it,
and you guys are developing, and that actually really excites me. You guys are going to have a trainer's book. I mean, eventually, is there going to be a path for someone who's interested in this? Wants to become an instructor, or are you guys really holding this close to the chest?
No. So what we're building, we built a level 1 book, right? So level 1 instructor book, the level 2 instructor book, level 1 book is done. Level 2 instructor book is almost done. I'm going to Belgium, and Fred and I are going to be working on the level 3 book, and then we'll get to the level 4 book. This is all evolving in place. Then we're also going to have the belt system, so we'll have the curriculum. The videos are already done. The website's up, so you're going to have be able to log in. You're going to be able to get your video so you can do your own curriculum. But the part that I always hated, right? So I got my first gym, and I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
And then I went, where's my curriculum? And they were like, you got to make your own. Okay. And I'm like, what do you mean I got to make my own? And I went to Worldwide Krav Maga, and they're like, here's the books.
Yeah.
Make your own.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how to do that. So it took me a while to figure that, and I was lucky enough to know people from John's gym, and they helped me with his curriculum. So I, from West Coast Krav Maga, that's how I first started my curriculum base. Then I evolved. But what we're going to be doing is every single week, I'm going to be giving my curriculum and Fred's curriculum from headquarters in Belgium via video. So all my instructors, you're going to log in. You'll have your curriculum already laid out for you. If you want to do it yourself, do it yourself. If you just want to.
Well, and you told me that you're very cognizant of avoiding the McDojo with your guys' fight system. Like, I forgot what system you were talking about, but like you can go in, I think you mentioned it earlier, like you can apply for a this or that, and you can get Krav Maga certified,
There is a very well-known school in Israel that allowed a program, we'll call it a condensed program, for $10,000, you could get your black belt certification. And how do you do a condensed certification for black belt?
You cut a lot of corners.
No, it's called a paycheck.
Well,
so at that point,
yeah,
but again, anything like that, that's why Krav got a bad name, is because it was such a hyped thing for a while. The original versions of Krav,
So much more brutal too.
you watch Darren, he was on black belt. And again, you watching these guys, and most of the guys that have evolved through the United States came from Darren.
Yeah.
Some of them came from Israel, but most of them came from Darren Levine. Right? You've got some great guys now that are out there still just cranking it.
Yeah.
But it became evolved, right? So Worldwide was never that. Worldwide, actually, you have to go through A, B, C, then level 1, level 2, and they never...
That's Krav Maga Worldwide, if for those who don't know.
So they never even, you can't, a certified black belt through Worldwide has to be tested by Worldwide staff.
Yeah.
So
They're
no
pretty
dojo,
tough.
no dojo can actually certify. You can get certified through the dojo, but no dojo. You can, as a franchise owner or a gym from Worldwide, the highest you can certify any of your people is high brown belt.
Okay.
Okay. Other than that, you have to go through Worldwide, which means you have to be invited to their black belt test in order to take it. And that means you're certified globally through, and they will recognize your belt.
Yeah.
So there, and that to get to your black belt status for teaching for them, you're talking years. So it's a good checks and balances.
Yeah.
And it's very hard. So Worldwide did it good. So yes, they make fun of Worldwide gyms, but they kind of their roadmap on how to produce a good student.
Yeah.
It's a solid roadmap. And
Well, and how to produce a good instructor.
how to produce a good Krav gym.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I would say probably if to anyone who is wanting to do Krav Maga, like I would definitely ask them, are you Worldwide certified? Because
Well, there's good.
It's a good measure.
USKMA. There's now, because of Worldwide and people seeing Worldwide's footprint and how they did it.
Yeah.
A lot of them, USKMA does a good job of doing it, but they do more police-based, like gun retention. So it's, find out what ticks your belt, makes you excited, and find that style of Krav.
Yeah.
Darren focused his, because he was also a district attorney, that not getting arrested.
Yeah.
So a lot of his stuff was edited for not getting arrested. So, but then if you look at, like, I'll just use the two that I know the best. USKMA, Mark Slane, he was a police officer, and he dealt with a lot of police officers. So in his higher level videos, you see a lot more gun retention and holster retention, and fighting with gun, not just bang, 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 but fighting, retaining, and working with it. So his had more, his higher level stuff was there. And then if you look at Roy O'Ganian's higher level stuff, really cool stuff.
Okay.
But I'm not that light.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So what's the timeline for MDS to, I hate to say it this way, but to get into the strip mall? Like what's the timeline?
So let's see, Worldwide. So Krav Maga started in this, like Darren brought this here, what, the 70s?
Yeah, but that, everything's fast forwarded now.
We want it now.
Yeah, we want it now. Like,
you will see the evolution and the gyms start to be able to teach belts for MDS within the next the next year. They'll be actually, the belt system will be there, and the schools that do exist will have it. MDS North America, you'll have your login for your instructors in schools. You'll actually even have so if you don't have a school near you, we want to do an online course, but then with the testing, I want you to be able to go. We'll hold testing for students. So, because again, if you live in a small town in the middle of Iowa or Kansas or Illinois, it's hard to find a good school to train with.
Yeah.
But if you've got someone excited, or we'll call it dumb enough, to sit there and trade punches with you, you can do it yourself with a properly edited video, which means remote learning is possible.
yeah. Yeah.
So many people clown remote learning. Even Fred did. Fred and I had a giant argument a long time ago before COVID.
And now he saw the light.
Oh, no, when COVID, I kept calling him, hey, Fred.
How about that remote learning?
What would we do with the remote learning? He's like, shut up, Cliff. I was like, well, you know what would be really good, Fred? If we had remote learning right now. And I like the entire time, he's like, shut up, Cliff. I was like, we wouldn't be having a problem right now. We'd be able to train as a group. So I kind of rubbed it in his face a little bit. But I talked to him about that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Remote learning. He's like, nobody's going to want remote learning.
Yeah.
This is just not what we do. Now,
Well, now
this is standard
YouTube
practice.
and, yeah.
You saw the explosion.
Mm-hmm.
How many crazy people came alive and started teaching everything when COVID hit?
Yep.
Zoom meetings became a thing. So we saw the entire evolution happen within 2 years. No internet-based training, only real-life training. And these are diehards from Salat to BJJ. Now, internet learning is the thing. This is the wave of the future. We should embrace it. Everyone's saying the same. They all jumped on the same thing.
It's why I'm here.
No, and again, the way you tackle this is great because you expose yourself and you're not making fun of somebody else, right? So you take your shortcomings, which you won't have shortcomings soon, which it'll be strip mall sensei, and you're like, oh wow, he looks like a ninja. So
one guy commented, he's like, wow, this is a great channel. A soft, doughy office worker trying to learn how to fight. But what happens when you become tough? And I'm like, well, I've been actually doing this for 3 years already. I'm still working on it.
No, but it'll happen. Like I say, and that's where your take on it, it's like Master Ken. Master Ken, for those of you who don't know, takes classic martial arts.
Yeah.
But his joke is, this is what everyone forgets. We all say, like Fred said, Krav Kaka. My style is better than your styles, and this is why MMA exists and why UFC exists. Because Bruce Lee would beat up Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
We all have these arguments in the bar. You can't hit that hard. There's no way. So this is why it exists. And this is why the evolution, like with Master Ken, he always says, oh, I'm showing you how to do it. You're doing it wrong. So every one of his things, he never says they do it right, but let me show you how to do it better because your way is crap. Yeah. He took one route, which people graciously go on there. You've seen Ronda Rousey, you've seen Fred, you've seen Doug Marcotte, you've seen all kinds of people go on there knowing that they're going to be, it's like a roast.
Yeah.
And they got views. But your take on it is, hey, I want to learn.
Yeah.
You have a great idea. Like Jesse Enkamp. Jesse Enkamp goes in open eyes and says, hey, show me what you have. I really want to see if there's something here.
Yeah.
And you watch
and he stacks it up against his karate training, and
and you see that. So now you have a sense of humor. You're humble about it.
Yeah.
And you show your softer side. You show your mistakes.
All I got is a softer side, Cliff.
But it's the fact that you show your mistakes and that you're willing to show your mistakes.
Well, my philosophy with anything you do and this is what I tell every young person who's like, I want to do YouTube videos. I say, look.
You need to get bigger chairs, by the way. My
I know.
Stuck in there.
Yeah, my bad.
It's okay.
No, I always tell people, I say, look, no matter what you're doing, your first goal is to entertain the audience. And people complain once or twice. I've gotten comments like, why do you talk so much? I just want to hear this guy. And it's like, well, the general audience, they're actually coming to my videos because they have got a little background in this. Maybe they want to learn, but also they want to be entertained. I've got 32% of my viewership is on televisions.
I'm going to drink this.
Oh, please. I bought those for you, man. I'm like, when are you going to crack one open? 32% of my
props.
viewing is on televisions. And sponsored by Liquid Death. The problem I've run into is everyone seems to love you. Like my channel blew up from you. I've got to give you, even Giselle, my producer back there.
From us. It was our combination of interactions, sir.
My producer back there, she's like, who are we interviewing? I'm like, Cliff. She's like, oh, we're interviewing Cliff? I'm like, you don't even know the guy. She does Krav Maga with me too. So.
In all hindsight, Lewis gave me like a really big speech, like, yeah, Cliff is an amazing guy. You're going to love him. Cliff, I was actually supposed to come to your gym yesterday.
Nice.
And I didn't. I did instead.
That's just as good.
So, but everybody likes you, and that's why I did this podcast, because I think I may have over sensationalized you, and I want to. Well, I want to bring you down to earth, and I want people to realize, like, first of all, if they're interested in you. This is not podcasting. I never saw myself doing a podcast, but like,
I didn't think I had enough to say, to be honest. And who's going to want to know about my life?
Well,
right?
people are generally interested because you have an unorthodox fight style.
Okay.
You are a big, intimidating guy. In fact, we have to talk about your movie you were just in. And people like you, man. And I can't make this channel solely about you. I've got to do other content, but I will be doing a lot more videos with Cliff because people like Cliff.
It's a good adventure, right? So
it is.
I told you, honestly, this has been something that I would never have done myself. But the fact that you see something in me and our interaction's been good and it's helping me get more exposure for MDS, the softer side of MDS, not the hard angry that everyone thinks that this is. I like this side of MDS, and I like this evolution. Fred likes the evolution. We're seeing more human, which is cool, right? And again, you don't always have to be the wolf pack, you know.
But he's very macho in all of his.
Actually, he's not. So
Well,
in his
videos,
yes, he absolutely is. But that's what was been portrayed from the '90s and the 2000s. You had to be this, especially in Europe, where he's at in Europe is like Beirut at night.
Yeah.
So you have to be this hard macho guy, and he's doing bouncer and stuff. But now the evolution, when he's actually seeing the interaction, he saw the videos, he saw the stuff. He's like, "Wow, Cliff, this is good. I like this." So I was like, "Hey, you want to do it?" He's like, "Yeah, this would be great." So
So there should be a video in the near future with Fred
I'll be
Mastro,
bringing Fred
so-
to Riverside. So when I'm in,
Okay.
you'll have you can shoot a whole episode with him.
Yeah, I actually would really love to.
But you're gonna get hit by him.
Oh God, why couldn't I just do a cooking channel? Jeez, man. But I don't know. I think that there's a lot of fun things to come. This opened up a door to a whole new world of fighting that I wasn't aware of. So I'm happy about that. But let's talk about your movie. You can't say a lot about it, but you were actually just recently in a movie. Were you the bad guy?
No, I was not the bad guy.
You were a good guy?
I was a good guy. So I got talked into this. So Olivier posted on our channel. We have for MDS team members, we have a communication. We use WhatsApp, right? And he says, "I need somebody," and I didn't understand what the acronyms meant. We're going to be doing some CQC work and some protection. So I'm like, "Oh crap!"
For those who don't know, what's CQC?
Close quarter combat.
Okay.
And some protection work. But apparently, I missed one of the acronyms that has to deal with movie stuff. And I didn't understand at the time either. So I say, "Hey, Olivia, what do you need?" I thought we were actually going to be doing bad things.
Yeah.
And I was like, "So what do you need? I've got you. What are we going to be? Oh, it's going to be in LA. We're going to be on this vessel. We're going to be doing some, clearing rooms and doing all this stuff." I was like, "Okay, cool." I was like, "Yeah, I'm in. If you need my help, I'm in." I thought I was actually going to be bodyguarding people because he needed help. And then he goes, I said, "Okay, what gear do I know?" "Oh, talk to this guy." And then I talked to the other guy. I can't remember his name. He says, "Okay, so you're coming in." I was like, "Okay, what gear do I need?" "Oh, the prop guy will have everything for you." And at that point, I instantly knew I was doing a movie.
You're doing a movie.
And I went, "Oh, yeah, doing a movie." So I'm on this set, right?
Yeah.
I walk up with a vessel, and I'm playing. So I play a SEAL team member.
Yeah.
Joint forces with French to do human trafficking, to take back people. My part of it is that we board the vessel, we take back the hostages, we terminate the targets, and then that's jump out of the airplane, vessel, fast extraction off of Zodiac, climb up the vessel, and then we're working through this stuff, and that's where I'm in, right? That's my part.
Where'd you guys shoot?
We shot in LA on the Victory Lane.
Okay.
So we're there 4 days. I'm roaming around this vessel. On the second day, he goes, and this is Olivier Gruner, and he's a producer and one of the main guys. Patrick Kilpatrick. There's French. I don't remember her name, but she's a French actress. I was her bodyguard working through the vessel. We met her on the vessel, and then we were doing all this stuff, and yeah, it was a trip.
Working on films is really fun. Did you guys use squibs?
No, so we're at the budget below squibs.
Okay.
We had the 1-to-1.
No, the budget below squibs is when you take a piece of cardboard, a condom, and then you put like a black cat firecracker under it, and you use a cigarette, and you light it and run away.
No, so squibs,
I've worked on those kinds of films.
No. So I would say we're in between that because they're doing it digitally, so we're doing all this stuff. So we had the guns.
A squib's a blood pack, for
Right.
those who don't know, by the way.
Well, now they're doing that digitally, right? So
Yeah.
So we did all the work. The guns were 1-to-1, gas charged, full blowback. All the stuff was full blowback, full stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
The next level up would be with the blanks, which you can do a magazine change. So we were at the stage with the 1-to-1 sim with air, but no projectiles. So we were doing those, and then they had a rebreathers there, so they did some work in Catalina. They did some shooting in Florida for some of the jet ski stuff.
Nice.
And then they did Palmdale where they're doing the skydiving stuff. And then he's like, "You coming to Palmdale?" I'm like, "Fred, I've actually got to work on my normal stuff. I would love to come, but..." So what we did the Zodiac work. So we're going through the LA harbor at night, dressed up as Navy SEALs on a Zodiac fast act with guns pointed forward, and we're just zooming. And this is at dusk.
Did you get a chance to fire blank gun?
No. Well, I fired my stuff. Yeah, we throw grenades and they make all the CGI stuff. But we're going through the harbor at night with this stuff, and we don't get arrested. So I find out they pulled permits. But yeah, it looks cool. I've got really cool photos that I can never show anybody because it's stolen valor. I look super cool in the outfit, and my friends are like, "Oh my God, Cliff, you look
You're
great."
believable. I've worked on a lot of westerns. My friend loves westerns, and like I could definitely see casting you for something, but I could especially cast you as like a military macho guy.
And so I'll show you after we're off of this. But yeah, I've got some military photos from this, and I'm like, "Oh, I look so cool." But I can never show anybody because it's stolen valor. Because again, those guys work very hard.
Yeah.
And those guys are trained to do what they do, and they deserve every bit of credit. And people that dress up like them do not deserve that.
You know, my one goal I put on my bucket list is obviously I want to do this fight training and stuff, but I really want to direct an action sequence.
Nice.
I don't even want to be in it. I would probably be like a side role, like, you know, I'm the...
I should get you with Olivier. You guys could...
That would be fun. I mean, I wanted to direct like a 5-10 minute short with some really cool
take you out
action
combat
scenes.
fighting. So we go out to
That'd be cool.
Vegas, and we do live fire.
Yeah.
Where you're in the back of a vehicle and you're doing a magazine change and you're on a fixed target. We fight.
Yeah.
But we practice safety, so it's live fire and dry fire drills.
Yeah.
A bunch of dry fire, but Olivier Gruner has a tactical school in Vegas.
Yeah.
It's
Well, my idea, I think now, because it's evolved more now, is I would probably cast, if you'd be into it, I'd cast Fred as the villain, because I think Fred, being European, could play a good villain. You know what I mean? Chain smoking, and you know what I mean?
He's not smoking anymore, so he had a giant heart attack.
Oh,
and he's not smoking anymore. So he nearly died.
Oh my God.
They split the chest, the whole bit.
Did you get a bypass?
Yeah. So he nearly dies. He stopped smoking, and then he's like, "I've stopped smoking." And then we go to the next seminar. He was 6 months out of the split chest.
Yeah.
And he was smoking again. And
Oh,
I'm like,
jeez.
And he made me go buy him cigarettes. I'm like, "No." He's like, "Cliff, I'm going to punch you." I'm like, "I don't care."
Yeah.
So he said, "Come on, Cliff, buy me the cigarettes." Fine. But I'm going to do this with talk the entire time.
Well, I was thinking I'd cast him as the villain, and I'd probably cast you as like the hero, if you'd be into it.
You got to meet Seb, man. So Seb actually does movie stuff and action movies. He was Transporter. You see him he's the guy in the Transporter when they're going through the woods, and the gun gets smacked out of his hand, and then they go off the cliff.
Yeah.
So I always joke around with Seb because, how long did you live in this film, Seb? Because he's always playing the guy that gets killed. He's done a couple of comedy roles, and he's lived through a couple of films. But most of the films that Seb's in, and he's amazing, but he gets killed. But he's an amazing actor, and he's an action guy. So Seb's style and Fred's style. Fred is very fluid and very hidden. Seb is a rock and stands in front of you, and you hit him, and he looks at you, and then he punches you. And it's totally different approaches of MDS, but they get the same results. They're just, both of them, they're two amazing instructors to work with.
Lewis was actually, this is slightly off topic. Lewis was telling me an interesting story about you. You guys were in this is Lewis the Short King. He did my kicks video and my second knife video. But apparently some guy picked you up in class and you grabbed him by the, and you're like, put me down. Like, do you remember that story? Or
There's a couple of times that I do that, right?
Yeah.
So the first one, the origin was when I was wrestling in high school, and I told that story. But yes, if you grab somebody by the testicles when they pick you up and you're squeezing them, and they're not trying to toss you, and you don't let go of them,
right?
Then yes, they are pretty invested in you not hitting the ground hard because you're holding something that they hold dear.
Yeah.
So they tend to let you go. It's not and it's, again, it comes down to, I don't care. I'm going home.
Yeah.
So if I have to grab hold and hold on to something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done that. And then they always make that high-pitched sound. And in my wrestling match, the wrestler said, "Ref, look. And the ref said, son, you need to let go. And I'm like, no. He's like, son, you need to let, I'm going to dock a point. I'm like, go ahead, put me back on the ground, take a point from me. Because the match before, that same wrestler dumped a guy on, he went for a fireman, but he dumped the guy from halfway up onto his head.
Yeah.
And the guy got taken on a stretcher. And I was like, I'm not going on a stretcher.
Ugh.
I'll lose a point.
Yeah.
So that's, when I learned that trick, it's a pretty successful trick.
Oh, we should do a quick sponsorship plug real quick. Real quick, folks, if you guys are enjoying this video or if you enjoy the channel, feel free to go to the description and click the link that says buy me a coffee. It's a small $5, $10, $15 donation. It's a one-time donation. Only if you like the channel and you want to support it. It really helps. If not, feel free to share this video with your friends. That
So
also
tell
helps
me
as
your
well.
thoughts of the guy who said internet chills.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was this one guy who did say there's a lot of begging going on in the internet. And, you know, I can't blame him. From the outside, you see people saying, give me money, donate to my Patreon, do this and that. But it's like, it does take a lot of work to make these videos. This is actually the easiest video I've had to produce in the last 6 months since the channel's been out, because it's just...
Yeah, we did 3 hours in the gym and
Yeah.
it came down to 19 minutes.
Yeah, there's very little editing. I don't have to figure out what we're talking about, you know, because you like to kind of go off.
I got a lot of stories.
You've
man.
got a lot of stories, but you also have a lot, like, you've got a lot of things you want to teach. And I'm like, no. Like, let's stay within the scope of the assignment here. Yeah. But I don't know. I think we've basically covered everything, unless there's anything else you can think of.
Well, actually, the biggest thing is there's a lot of people that talk about MDS.
Yeah.
What I would say, humble yourself a little bit. If you find an event near you or a school near you where someone is teaching it, walk in, become that white belt for a second, clear your cup, try it. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. But instead of taking a 10-minute video, 10-second video that you know very little about, that was designed to get a reaction, and then you decide to spout off about it, find something more to talk about and say, I tried it. So that I appreciate those guys that said, I went to Fred in Nice, or I did this over here with Fred and I had the opportunity to train, and man, he did hit me hard, but I did learn a lot. Those guys, I enjoy that feedback because you took the time to learn something more. You didn't see something. If you just looked at the can, you'd think this was something else other than, you know, liquid death, that's got to be an No, it's just iced tea, man.
Yeah.
Take the time to find out what's in the can. At face value, MDS, there's so much. There's as many haters for MDS as there is people who like it. Because within the European field, because Fred said so many things about people. You either love him or you hate him. Fred and I are friends. We're brothers. We're truly fratellos. And I've had arguments with Fred.
Yeah.
Well, we're family. But you either love him or you hate him. And there's as many people that hate him
Yeah.
that love him.
Yeah.
And the people that love him, we're quiet.
Yeah.
But if you hate somebody, you will tell anybody that listens.
Yeah.
So you can all share stories, miserable stories about this miserable guy. Get the chance to know him. Maybe Fred, back in the day, 20 years ago, was a little more boisterous. The Fred that you're seeing now is an evolved person.
Yeah.
He's looking at life a little differently. He's looking at different styles, and he's taking the time to see if there's value.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also, though, you're a very... It's funny. People talk up these big stories in the comment section, but, like, you're actually the best pick to be the head of MDS North America.
No one else would do it.
But you're very level-headed. Like, the thing is like, people act like you're this crazy guy or this grifter or whatever they want to say, but it's like, you are like the most humblest, chillest guy.
It's supposed to be Patrick Odell or Paul Vespa.
Yeah.
These guys didn't want to take the mantle, and we were struggling, and I said, I don't want to do it. They're like, but there's nobody else.
Yeah.
So I only took it because nobody else would.
Well, I think you also have the it factor, too.
I got stuck with a check, man.
One other thing I'd like to mention is you are now on Instagram. I'm going to put the logo up in the beginning.
I am, because of you. And Ed,
Yes.
Is it X now or it's Twitter? It's not Twitter
Are
anymore.
you
It's
on X?
Yeah, I did that too, man.
Oh, okay. So first of all, I know your Instagram handle is Cliff Odette the Fighter.
Yeah, because there's a Cliff Odette on there. I tried for the original one.
I chose the Fighter, by the way.
You did.
And what's your X handle? Do you remember?
It's Cliff_Odette, I think.
Cliff_Odette. So I'm going to put both of those up in the beginning.
My ugly
to
mug
follow
will be
you.
the picture.
You just got to remember to post, bro. I know. I got to work on you with this marketing thing.
Isn't there? So there's an app that you can do one post and it goes everywhere,
You
right?
don't want to do that.
Why not?
They're different platforms, way different platforms. I'm a marketing guy, in case y'all didn't know. Like I've worked in video, photography, broadcasting for a long time. So I'm not a fighter. I am a video producer.
This is why we get along.
Yeah, I don't question your methods. I'm like, well, clearly you can beat me up. But anyway, Cliff Odette, the fighter, I appreciate you for taking the time to sit down with me today. Again, feel free to like and subscribe. You know, if you got any value out of this, there'll be more videos with Cliff coming up. There's also videos without him. You can watch those ones too, guys. Cliff, anything else?
No, it's been a good adventure. Like I say, I'm along for the ride as long as you want me around. It's been a hell of an adventure, and
Oh, there's going to be more.
like I say, I really enjoy your channel, and I'm glad you decided to make me part of your journey.
I'm glad you joined along. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.